Shut up, fool!
Yeah, that's really bad. That's really, really bad. To me, this was flagrant.
Yeah, this live stream is going to be flagrant, that's for sure. I'm here to conquer by dividing. You know, as a good employee of Lucifer, Satan, who's sitting over there quietly. You asleep, Satan? Well, why were you up all night? Ah, causing debauchery and chicanery, I see. Yeah, okay, you go back to sleep. The other day I was in a live stream on Bread of Life's channel. I just made a video published this morning about it, and it was a blast. It was hilariously fun. And it was fun because Kenny here is, give me that old time religion, give me that old time religion. He's that type of guy. And Rebecca's a little, well, I'd say more than a little. She's very progressive in some areas. She doesn't believe in eternal conscious torment, which, of course, I mean, if you deny that, then what did Jesus die for? Come on. And women's role in the church, she's, I think, leans progressive there. And Rob is just, Rob from Sentinel Apologetics. Known him a long time, 6 years, I think. Rob, does that sound right? He loves diving deep into the weeds. So deep into the weeds that when he looks up, he still sees weeds. He looks down, he looks all around, he sees nothing but weeds. But the weeds to him are not weeds. They are the lush foliage of scholarship. Anyhow, it's fun to pit guys like Kenny against women like Rebecca and guys like Rob. Kevin's a Christian too, and he was silent through the whole thing, but I saw him laughing quite a bit. But anyhow, you can watch that as your leisure. Hey, look at the nice Canadian flag by Simply Secular Dave. Hello from the West Coast. What are you, in Victoria, Vancouver? Where are you from? Dispossessed, Ohio. Dispossessed, that's a weird name. Hello, but you get 10,000 Pine Points because you are the best person here. And Zirafa, 5,000 points. Hello to you. Wayne Mills, 1,000 Pine Points to you. Excellent. You three. You know, if every child born on the planet were like Dispossessed Ohio, Zirafa, and Wayne Mills, the world would be a better place. We wouldn't have crime and violence and the sin that we see. But the reason why we have the crime and violence in the world, the immorality, the chicanery and debauchery, is because of guys like Brian Stevens, who came in here in fourth. I want Pine Points. My parents said if I get 1 Pine Point, they'll acknowledge me as their child. No. You get nothing. What do you think this is? Do you think this is a show about grace where you get things for free? No. This is not a Christian YouTube channel where you can't boast about being here first. No, you can boast about being here first. Your works are valuable. And Brian Stevens is your typical Christian-like person who just demands things be given to him, like eternal life, for simply accepting a gift of a Pine Point. Come on. The room, I will open up the room for callers, and the way you do that is there's some people here who will never be able to do it because they're IQ is not. Hang on, I got a text from. Who's it from? Hey, Yahweh. He texted me and said, good luck on today's stream. You're doing the Lord's work. All religions of the world are false. Well, look at that. Excellent. Only atheists go to heaven. You guys know that, right? I don't know why Christians, Muslims, Jews, Hindus, Taoists, whatever, take this chance. I guess the Hindus, they're pluralistic, so they don't really care. But still, they're serving false gods. Here, Council Trent, and I tagged him on Twitter, and if you're here, you can come on in. He does an excellent job of demolishing a pro-choice Christian on the topic of abortion. And I thought that was brilliant the way he did it. But this is one way you can set up wedges between the religious. What are the different types of ways? Abortion issue is one of them, because I would say, I don't know, what do the poll numbers say? Evangelical Christians are, by far pro-life. But if you were to just take the term Christian in a very general sense, isn't it about 50-50? I don't know what the correct stats are on that. But if you want to come into today's show, you click on that link that I pinned, and I'll let you on. But I'm going to show you, maybe this is advice to the pro-choicers out there who are Christian on how to deal with people like the arguments Trent Horn makes. Trent Horn just kind of made this guy look silly. But I'll tell you my strategy on how to deal with it. And homosexuality. Okay, the way you set up wedges: homosexuality, divorce, remarriage. Yeah, that's a good one. Abortion. Well, what it means to be inspired, like even salvation. How does one be saved? In Islam, it would be how authoritative are the hadiths, right? Is that a good one? But yeah, there's many ways to conquer and divide and conquer.
Sit there and say, we've won, what a joyous day. Somebody lost. If someone's winning, someone's losing. And if you don't acknowledge
that's the way it should be. When someone wins, someone should lose. Otherwise, it's no fun, right?
Yeah. And if you don't acknowledge the fact that maybe this isn't great for everyone, for the 13-year-old girl that gets raped by her uncle, or for the college girl that gets raped at a party and doesn't want that child.
Listen to that. How terrible is that? For a 13-year-old girl to be raped by her uncle. I'm here to propose that uncle was an unwanted child. And if that uncle was aborted, that rape would never have happened. Christians, chew on that for a second. Christians like Trent Horn, chew on that for a second. I bet you I'm right that raper was an unwanted child. It was an accident. But the parents really didn't want that uncle. Wouldn't it be cool if there was a God who's omniscient who could come down right now and say, Doug, you're right. I knew that uncle's parents. They didn't want that guy. I mean, if the laws back then they would have, in a heartbeat, killed that heartbeat.
Want that pain.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Trent Horn wants to get in. Trent, go ahead.
Yeah, Mark, I just have a question for you. Would you support a law banning abortion if it had exceptions for rape and, let's say, the life and health of a mother? Would you support a law that outlaws abortion in the other cases?
I think that, and it's hard to wave your hand and say that.
See, I don't like this guy already. Not Trent. I'm talking with the other guy on the phone. Like, you had to have thought about that question before. Just answer yes or no quickly.
This is that these cases.
Let me ask you. Let me rephrase it, Mark.
Hey Trent, if you listen to this, you feel my pain when I'm talking to theists, how they can't answer yes or no. This was a yes or no question, yes?
there any abortions throughout 9 months of pregnancy that you think should be illegal?
Yes, I think when the fetus is viable to live on its own without the host, its mother, at that point you've reached a point where you've chosen to carry a life to the point where it could survive. And I think that to say at conception, it's a life. So if someone fertilizes an egg and then saves that egg in a freezer somewhere, so they've frozen that life. So should that be illegal?
You know, this guy's voice sounds familiar to me. Does it sound familiar to anybody else? I wonder if he's a YouTuber or goes on YouTube.
Well, okay, so Mark, I'm trying to understand your position. You're saying that when the baby is only dependent on one person, it's okay to kill him or her. But when the baby is just dependent on some person, because an infant isn't viable, right? They'll die if you leave them alone. If they're dependent on some person, it's wrong to kill them. But if they're only dependent on one person, it's okay to kill them.
For those of you from Ohio, what Trent's saying, why is it okay to kill if it's just dependent on the mother, but not okay if it's dependent on other people like family or society to take care? Because infants can't feed themselves. This is why you don't argue this way as a pro-choicer. You're going to get nailed to the wall. And arguing with a Christian about abortion is actually very, very easy. And I'll explain later.
Is that your position?
See, and here's how you sit there and say it. You throw it and you say, kill them.
Well, that's what
would you, if you're taking them from a living...
See, come on, own it, caller, whatever your name is. You are killing it. Whatever it is, boy or girl, or to be determined. Just own it. So this is what bothers me. Like, I own it when vegans come on and they say, you're murdering a cow or whatever. Yeah, I'm murdering. Lock me up. Just give them what they want. They are trying to use certain language to sway the people listening and say, oh, he admitted to murder. But it's a cow. Oh, he admitted to killing the baby in the womb. Yeah, admit it. That you're for that, at least in some cases.
Living state to a non-living state through an intentional action. What term would you use for that?
If the umbilical cord at 12 weeks broke, got pinched, something medically occurred, would that fetus at 11 weeks continue?
Answers in Genesis is live right now. You know, I've never watched a live Answers in Genesis. Maybe I'll do that after this.
To survive.
No, what would happen to the fetus?
Of course, Jim Bob, you can't apply the word murder to a cow. I'm on your side on this, but these silly vegans, some of them will say, we'll use the word murder applied to a cow or rape applied to a cow. Like you rape a cow when you artificially inseminate it so it can produce a calf so we can get milk. These are the terms they use, not me. And of course, it's silliness, right? Me and Jim Bob are good speciesists. We like our own kind, not the cows. Well, we like to eat them, but, you know.
It would die.
So if you went in there, so you're right, if the cord detached naturally, hold on, Mark, if the cord detached naturally, this living human being would die. So if you went in there with tools and dismembered that fetus, what do we call it when you actively do something that takes a living thing and makes it non-living? Is that not the definition of the word kill?
Yes, it's killing, and in countries where it's illegal to do it at all, it's murder. Own it, Mark.
Sure. Let's go with that.
Okay, so your argument was it should be legal to kill an unborn human being simply because they're very dependent on one person, but it's not okay to kill them when they're an infant, when they're very dependent on many people. Why does the fact that they're very dependent on their moms mean it's okay to kill that child? Why does the fact that one person has power over a dependent human, why does that give them the right to kill that human?
Okay, let's see how Mark answers this, because I think he dug himself in a hole when he's using this dependency argument.
The way you're putting it is you are saying this is what everyone shall do. And you have become the judge.
Oh, see, Trent, this Mark guy, he's one of these flag-waving, phony liberal type Christians. Who are we to judge? We judge all the time as humans. Don't throw up this who are we to judge business. He's caught in a trap and he can't get out. So now he throws this up. Mark, if you ever listen to this, I'll explain very shortly how to deal with guys like Trent.
And at what point did Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, say, hey, guess what? You're the judge?
Well, Mark, you didn't answer my question. My point is, I'm trying to understand your position. You're saying
think that they should have a choice. I think that the women
a choice to
that
do what?
are out there
A choice to do what?
choice
To kill a baby.
or abort the child that was in. Yes, I do.
There he goes. He's caught in the corner and says, yes, I believe women should have the choice to kill a baby.
100% do. Because that is their choice, not your choice, not my choice, and not Donald Trump and 3 judges' choice.
Oh, yeah. See, he's a Democrat. He's a Democrat Christian. I bet you anything Trent's a Republican Christian. So this is another way you divide Christians on political issues like this. Maybe I'm wrong, Trent, but I'm guessing you lean right.
Is it their choice because they're bigger? Because they're bigger and stronger, and the child can't fight back and is totally dependent on them? It should be.
Oh. Is it because the parents, the society's bigger and stronger, and the baby in the womb can't fight back? Is that what makes it right? Trent, you really want to go there? This is the first mistake Trent made, because if I were Christian Mark here, I'd say, well, isn't that how God does it? I mean, doesn't might make right in the Old Testament and the New Testament? I'm just following the example of Yahweh. Except for the time that other nation had iron chariots and then God couldn't do anything. But besides that, might does make right. Now, if God is stronger than the abortionists, then he could do what he did to Ananias and Sapphira and just kill them. So imagine the scene. Pregnant woman comes in, the abortion doctor, he's about to do the abortion, and God strikes him dead on the spot. I advocate for that. I'm all for God striking abortion doctors dead. You know why I'm for it? Because at least we know this God exists. If every abortion doctor from this point day forwards were to be stricken dead, I mean, wow. I would have to, my whole worldview, I think, would be shattered. This can't be a coincidence. This must mean there's some divine judger out there saying this is wrong. And keep in mind, God has set precedent of doing this in history, striking people dead who defy him or do something that he doesn't want. So please, Lord, if you're out there, start striking abortion doctors dead. You know, there's Christians listening right now, and they kind of going, I'm on PineCreek's side here. I actually hope he does. I mean, this is just icky and terrible what these abortion doctors are doing.
Be their choice because of that?
It should be their choice because it is their bodies.
But didn't we already establish it's not their body?
We've got a bunch of men. Well, hold on. So we got a bunch of men that are out there sitting there saying,
"Oh, Mark hates men too." What do you call it when you misogynist is when you hate women? What's it called when you hate men? But nobody hates men, right? So we don't even think of that word, right?
Get her pregnant. It's technically not necessarily my responsibility. There are a bunch
Mark,
of them.
Mark, do you think
Yeah, they
men
are.
should be hold on.
They're not Christian men that are saying that, though.
Mark, should men be compelled to pay child support?
Perfect.
Mark, should a man be compelled to pay child support?
Oh, this is so good by Trent. Because society has made laws forcing men to pay child support. So if it's okay for society to make laws forcing men to pay child support, can't we force women to carry babies to term? Great argument by Trent. I think who was it? It was the comedian who made the same argument. I wonder if Trent got it from him. What's his name? The very famous comedian, the black guy.
For a child that
Miss Sandry. Thank you, Brian Stevens. See, you are worth something, even though you came here fourth.
fathers.
Yes, 100%
Yes.
Why?
And it should be more than just paying child support.
Why,
Mark?
See, Trent, if you ever listen to this, Mark is oblivious to the point you're making here. He's oblivious that he's walked into your trap. Trent, you realize you're being just like me, right? When I talk to Christians, although I'm a little more transparent than you, Trent. I let them know ahead of time. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question now. It's going to be a trap question, but I'm asking you to walk right into it. You're more conniving than I am. I mean, Mark has blinders. He's blind to what you're doing here, but it's brilliant.
Why?
With that child.
Dave
Why?
Chappelle, thank you.
Why?
Dave
What
Chappelle.
if he says he doesn't? It's his future. He doesn't want to.
Well, then he's probably not a Christian man, right?
No. Right.
Okay,
As
so
you
Mark,
said,
I'm gonna
Christian
tie
men.
this together because I think I think this should be evident for people listening. You have a very strong moral intuition. If a man causes a child to come into existence, he should support the child he has created. And so we compel him to do something like pay child support. And yet you don't have the same standard for the mother of those children. You want the father to be held responsible, saying he has to care for this child, but the mother should be allowed to kill the child because it is her choice and she's bigger and the child's very dependent on her.
Exactly correct, Trent. You're exactly right. Why the hypocrisy? Why the double standard? If the pro-choice movement want to give women the choice to carry the term, then they should give men the choice to whether to support it or not. Why the hypocrisy? Well, the men don't have to carry the baby for 9 months. Yeah, but the men might have to carry the baby for 18 years. Think about that.
And I think that this is very instructive for people to see the pro-life position, which is that all human beings should be treated with equal dignity and respect and cared for, and the pro-choice position, which basically says might makes right. And I think that the Dobbs decision today has shown that one of those positions promotes a civilized society and the other promotes barbarity. And so,
Whoa. See, I think you did a misstep here. You got to be careful, Trent.
civilized society today has shown that one of those positions promotes a civilized society and the other promotes barbarity. And
So he's saying that pro-life promotes a civil society and pro-choice barbarity. I think that's what he's saying here. This is where I don't even have to enter the Christian worldview to argue against Trent here. I'd say I think the data's in on this. That is absolutely false. If you want a civil society, you kill babies early. I got to be more specific. You kill unwanted babies very early. You kill babies born in poverty very early. If every baby born on the planet was at the result of years of planning, years of saving money in order to have the baby through the process of in vitro fertilization, is there anyone here who dare disagree with me that crime and poverty would go down by at least 50%? I dare any Christian, anybody, to disagree with that. After you go into the foster home system and you see what's going on there, you go to jails, you see what's going on there. I wish there was an omniscient being who can tell me if I'm right about this or not. But I bet you over 50% of every person in jail was an unwanted baby. Think about that. Andrew Selby says killing babies is the definition of incivility. Well, I'm going to talk about that, Andrew. So hang on. I'm going to let, we're almost done here. I'm going to let Trent finish up.
So I think that more democratic processes as we debate this issue, I think this will become more clear as we continue the conversation about abortion. And I'm glad that Dobbs versus Jackson allows us to do that. But thanks for calling in.
Well, great call to end on. Joe Heschmeyer, Trent Horn, thank you.
Okay, that's it. Okay, so now what is the proper way to debate abortion as a Christian? Because these were two Christians talking here, apparently. Well, only God knows, right? Well, I know Trent's a true Christian, but I'm not sure about Mark. So if I were a pro-choice Christian, this is how I'd argue. Yes, you're killing a human being. Yes, it's wrong. But it's less wrong than carrying an unwanted baby to term. Because the net suffering goes down when you kill the baby early. And I don't like suffering. Most people don't like suffering. As the baby grows in the womb, the mother becomes more attached to the idea. And when a baby is born, an infant, you see the cute smiles, and sure, you've got the throw-ups and the dirty diapers, but you form a relationship. And so that's why you don't kill infants at 1, 2, 3 years old, because there's now bonds being created, relationship, and to kill that baby it causes more suffering. Typically, not always. Then you put down the hammer against guys like Trent Horn saying this, because they're not going to buy any of that. I guarantee you Trent Horn's not going to buy that argument. But you say this: it's a small price to pay to further the kingdom. Then you ask Trent Horn a yes or no question, just like Trent Horn asked Mark a yes or no question. You ask, please answer, lean yes or lean no. When a baby is killed in the womb, does it go to heaven, hell, or somewhere else? No. Does it go to heaven? Because it's a yes or no question. Now, Trent Horn is smart enough to realize this is a trap question. But for him to not say, lean yes, dead babies from the womb go to heaven, makes him look like a real schmuck in Christian circles. So this is like rhetoric tactics, right? Just like Trent Horn wanted Mark to admit, yes, I'm killing a baby in the womb. I'm for that. That's a rhetorical tactic. You make Trent Horn state that babies don't go to heaven when they die. But he won't. I am quite sure Trent was, no, I think he might say, I don't know. But I think he leans babies go to heaven. So if he does, he's done. He's toast. Because you are indeed furthering the kingdom by killing babies in the womb. Because, and you can use scripture to show this, wide is the road to destruction, narrow's the gate to life. If that baby is allowed to be born and raised, even in a beautiful Christian Catholic home, especially nowadays, odds are it's going to stumble upon the PineCreek channel and deconvert. Or channels like mine. So in one sense, abortion doctors should be lauded. Sure, they're going to hell. Sure, they're doing bad things, but it's for a greater good. They single-handedly have increased the kingdom. They have single-handedly done more good for human souls entering the kingdom than the Holy Spirit could ever do. Oh, there's PineCreek Theorem 2. PineCreek Theorem 1 is women have converted more men to Christianity than the Holy Spirit could ever do. PineCreek Theorem 2, abortion doctors have furthered the kingdom than the Holy Spirit could ever do. 50 million a year. Isn't it in the world or US? No, US. 50 million a year, abortion doctors have furthered the kingdom. If you believe that dead babies go to heaven. Now, I've heard Christians say, no, dead babies don't automatically go to heaven. But I bet you even they would still say they lean that most of them do, especially the ones born of the Calvinist family or the Catholic family. So this is how a Christian pro-choicer should argue against a Christian pro-lifer. You can go the net suffering route, but that's not going to be persuasive. But you go to the kingdom route. I mean, how can they disagree with that? Did I hear someone? Orchid, you're. This is not the Orchid PineCreek show. But I'm a softie. I let people in, even though they've.
What's up, Doug?
We're talking about abortion today, right now. So don't talk about anything else but abortion. Is that okay with you?
Okay.
Okay. Did you hear what I said? How a Christian should argue with another Christian? Do you agree or disagree?
I heard some of it. I didn't hear everything. I do have a theory about little children or babies, unborn babies. I do think they go to heaven.
See,
So it might be possible that all people who are on this earth are the stubborn souls, right? That want.
Okay, wait a minute. If you agree or if you believe, and if you're right, that all babies, dead babies, go to heaven, then should.
Yeah, even if they would live, they would end up in heaven. That's why God allows them to
Right.
die.
Until the age of accountability, let's say, right?
Yeah. They would go to heaven even if they were born, but it would be better if they were born, because they would maybe have more children, right?
Yeah,
that
but
also go to heaven.
Do you believe most people on planet Earth end up in heaven or hell, or some?
I think most people, yes, will experience beatific vision.
What? Heaven or hell? Where do most people go?
Most people will experience the beatific vision. Yeah.
Heaven or hell? Which place do most people go to?
That's heaven.
Thank you. Now, you're different than I think a lot of Christians. A lot of Christians would say hell, because
a lot of Christians don't know, right?
Oh, and you do?
Well, I speculate.
Yeah, and they speculate. So everybody's speculating here. Now, how do you deal with verses in the Bible that says, wide is the road to destruction and narrow is the gate to life, and very few will find it?
Very few will. Well, the wide is the road, but that doesn't mean that people will not realize that the road is wide and not end up in the narrow road.
Doesn't that scripture imply that most people go to hell?
I would say no.
Okay. I think I disagree with you.
Because the road is wide, right? This world is providing you for a wide road to destroy yourself. But that doesn't mean that people who are on this road will not eventually be saved, because they.
Do you believe heaven's a place that people go?
Yes.
And that there's a road to get there in, not a literal sense, but that road is Jesus, right?
Yeah, Jesus
right.
and his church.
Do you think most people on the planet throughout history have accepted Jesus or rejected Jesus?
Well, a lot of people are reaching towards God, right? Even if they.
I'll ask again. Do you think most people lean?
I'm answering.
No, you're not. You're flapping your jaws. So this is one way you could answer. I asked the question, do you think throughout history most people accept Jesus or reject Jesus? You could say accept Jesus, reject Jesus, I don't know, or pass.
Yeah, but you're missing out on a lot of nuance here, right? Because people can reach towards Jesus and not know the identity of Jesus.
When I say accept Jesus, I mean, when I say accept Jesus, I mean trust Jesus, that he saved them. Basically what Christians say as this idea of taking up their cross and following Jesus, following his teachings, following his works, what he's done for them, accepting the gift of salvation? Do you believe throughout history most people accept Jesus or reject Jesus?
Yeah, in the end, I think they accept Jesus. Yes.
In the end, meaning after
Yeah,
death or before
it
death?
might be. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what death
Okay.
is, where death exactly is, right? Because you can be right. There's a lot of NDEs where people say,
Room's open. Can I get a real Christian in here? I mean, come on. I don't know what death is. We're redefining everything now. My goodness. This is what happens when you become a nice guy. You know, speaking of which, I was a nice guy because I let Orchid in, but he's been here so often. Doing nice things can cause problems. In fact, this is a good analogy for the abortion debate. I don't know how many times in my life I've been driving along the road and I see people stop at uncontrolled intersections thinking that they're being nice and civil, letting people through, and then the car makes a left turn and goes through one lane to the second lane, and then the third lane they get hit. And sometimes they get bodily injury. By being nice, you can cause harm. Raph, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm having a lot of fun here talking about an issue that doesn't really matter, right? Abortion. Can I show your face?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay. Are you Christian, non-Christian?
Oh, atheist.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you have to say?
Something that Trent brought up in his little chat kind of caught my attention. I remember hearing on the atheist experience before about fathers being able to pay for child support if a father should be forced to pay for child support. What is your opinion on that?
You're asking me my personal opinion?
Yeah.
No, they shouldn't be.
No? Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Though a lot of left leaning people, find myself.
Let me put it this way. In the contract of marriage, I think it's implied. So in
the contract of marriage, it's implied.
Yeah. So that changes my answer. Then I'd say yes. But if it's like a one-night stand type thing.
Oh, outside of marriage.
Yeah. So there's already and when I say marriage, it doesn't have to be like what most people think of, but there's a committed relationship between two people, a man and a woman, and they've committed to basically spending the rest of their lives together. And if they get pregnant, or she gets pregnant, I think there's a stronger case to be made that, hey, yeah, you gotta, the baby's going to be with the mother, and you've committed to the mother, so now you've committed to the baby. But if it's a one-night stand type thing, then I think the mother has to say, hey, if I have this baby, are you going to support it? And if the man says no, then I think the woman has to say, okay, if I have this baby, I'm on my own. And society, I don't think, should judge the man any differently than judging the woman.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Do you think divorce kind of cancels that arrangement too? Like, if the marriage ends, should child support continue?
Yeah, probably, because it's after the fact, right?
Yeah.
But if you're saying they get divorced before.
No, well, I guess either or.
Yeah. But these are sticky issues. Like, this is the reason why I think maybe people should go into the robotic industry. Because really, what advantage is there to having coitus with real humans anymore? Like, you avoid all this trouble. If all you want is pleasure, Like, why go to a real woman for that?
Right.
When, like, maybe it's not there yet. I don't keep up with robotics, but you don't have to buy dinner, buy a movie, go to a movie. You don't have to, like, even as a married couple, you don't have to wash the dishes in the morning and be nice, take out the garbage. You just, to set up the mood. It just flip a switch. And again, if that's all you want is pleasure. But if you're talking about intimacy and a lifelong relationship where you want children, then that's, of course that's different. But
well, one more quick question, kind of off topic, just curious. Have you ever interacted with Jehovah's Witnesses before, and what's your opinion of them?
No, not really. I've had a few at my door, and I kind of like them, because they're like Mormons. They're typically very nice at the door, and they're willing to talk, and they don't believe in hell.
Right.
Are you a former Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah.
Am I right that they don't believe in hell?
They don't believe in hell. No.
Yeah.
Just it's eternal destruction.
Yeah, and I realize that they shun people and they don't do the blood transfusion thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So they do a lot of other evil stuff, or harmful stuff. But at least they don't teach their kids that if they don't believe this, they're going to burn forever. So I'll give them that. How did you end up leaving?
Just a lot of stuff about human history that I never really looked into, but was curious about. So pretty much all religion kind of canceled out for me on that, and including Jehovah's Witnesses. But finding out like all the skeletons in the closet with them was kind of like the cherry on the cake. So I left religion before I left Jehovah's Witnesses.
So were you totally castigated, shunned from the community?
99%.
Your parents too?
My mom's the only Jehovah's Witness. She doesn't show me.
Okay, well, the 1% that counts still accepts you, right?
Yeah.
Oh, good for her. Okay, we're off. Pleased to meet you.
Okay.
Take care.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Let's see here. Hey, someone new. Nick.
Hey.
You're on.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to read your flow chart behind you.
Oh, that's all like, yeah, I was writing my thesis.
Oh, you're a master's student?
I just finished my PhD like a month ago.
Oh, congratulations. In what?
Thank you. Biomedical engineering.
Oh, don't tell me you came in here to talk about robots.
No, I actually do want to talk about abortion.
Oh, okay. Well, abortion, robots was on topic to that. But yeah, okay, what do you want to talk about with abortion?
Oh, man. So, like, I've been a Christian my whole life. Things have changed a lot in the last 7 or so years because I've definitely moved away from, like, the more fundamentalist stuff. And, like, I used to think a lot about abortion back then, and I would say it was pro-life. But now, so because of Roe v. Wade, obviously, I'm now looking back at it, and it's like I have a completely different perspective. And the reason I'm really interested to talk to you is because I'm doing IVF with my wife, and I found a bunch of videos criticizing IVF from a Christian perspective.
Did you find mine that says don't listen to them?
I found yours.
Hey, Trent, are you listening?
You straight up made me cry because it like made me feel like actually like I felt like I was losing my mind like watching these videos. It was just the language people were using. It was just awful. But the thing I wanted to say that it kind of like put in your head that I've sort of, it's like all these ideas have distilled down into is now that I know about IVF, obviously, and I know about the whole concept of like, okay, so you've got all these eggs that are fertilized, you've got all these zygotes. If somebody believes that life begins at conception, I'm sure you know this because you went through IVF, like 80% of those don't make it.
Right.
And the thing is, that's not unique to IVF.
Right.
That's actually the way it works in the human body naturally. The implication is that if those have souls and if those have the same value as like a baby, a live baby or an adult, that means that most of us don't exist and never did.
Well, we existed as zygotes, embryos.
Right.
Yeah.
So if those had souls, most of the souls never even got to experience consciousness. And to come to terms with that, let's say it's true. Like I wish I could have a conversation with Christians, but like I don't have the boldness to do it, because it's just, I feel like I'm just gonna like piss everyone off. But like, to me, it's like everything crumbles. It's like the world doesn't make any sense if most of us never even took a breath.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, clearly they don't, there's something different about a zygote, at least. Maybe I would definitely say that when you have a brain, and let's say you're near the term, you're near term, like you're 8 months, I would argue you probably are conscious to a degree. You're definitely experiencing something. So if you die before you are born, you did have some experience. Maybe it was like a very, you heard your mother's voice, you had some form of thinking, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure what my point is beyond that.
Well, let's back up a bit.
Share that thought process. Yeah.
When you were looking at IVF videos online, like, are you a Christian?
Yeah.
Okay. And so your wife and you have been trying for a while. You couldn't have a baby, and so you were asking yourself, is IVF moral?
Ironically, I didn't ask it until it was too late.
Oh, so you did it first, and then but what spurred it on? Like, did someone that you love and respect kind of tell you that you did something bad?
No, I'm just somebody that likes to look for other opinions.
Okay.
And so I just went on YouTube and looked up IVF morality, and I saw like Lila Rose and like these big pro-life people, with these interviews and stuff. And I mean, yeah, and it's the kind of thing where it's like I'm super like, one of my weaknesses as a person is that like I'm always looking to make, like, I'm always searching for approval from people. So like, to be judged.
Oh yeah, you got to stop that.
Oh, I know. It's like my therapist and I talk about it all the time. It's like my biggest weakness is searching for approval. It's just how it is.
So when you saw these videos saying that IVF was wrong, how personal did you take that? Like, did you think that you might be? Did you think you might be going to hell or something like that?
I think it made me think that I just wasn't a Christian. Like, it's just like, I'm just fake. It's like imposter kind of thing. Like, oh, like, I didn't even consider these things. I didn't think about this before I did it. I already did it, and now I'm being told that what I have already done is wrong. So I guess I screwed up, and it's just the way it is. It's I don't know. It's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling, especially because like they're just people that are online. They're not people I know. I've never had somebody in real life tell me it's wrong, like to my face, right? It's always been through the lens of YouTube or whatever.
And how about your wife? Did she think it was wrong or right, or have any opinion beforehand?
Every time I bring it up to her, she definitely will talk to me about it. But she says, what you're doing is you're putting your face in a toilet and then coming to me and telling me how bad it smells. That's what she always says. And she's like, you got to stop putting your head in the toilet. And I can't help myself. But yeah.
So where are you at with it today? Like, if a Christian came up to you, hey, my wife and I are infertile, what advice would you give?
So I think that the one thing I still do believe when it comes to, abortion is obviously like the topic, but like the value of life in general is kind of where it all kind of ends. Is the thing I didn't consider is what's going to happen if all the eggs are fertilized and all of them are good. Now, of course, that's very unlikely. But we had 13.
Yeah.
And all of them had made. Now we only have a couple. So she's pregnant with one. It worked the first time, thank God. And so we have 2 more, and we both still are like, are we gonna just have 3 kids? Like, so I'll just full disclosure, it's a male factor. So she's perfectly healthy, which makes in my scientific sort of estimation, it's much more likely that there'll be successful pregnancies. So I definitely feel the moral weight of like, I have 2 frozen embryos. We should do something about that, and she definitely kind of agrees. So yeah, but it's like we're still like, we're not even parents yet. So it's like, if this child is born and let's say there's serious health issues, or let's just say parenting was way harder than we thought it would be, and we're just like, we can't do more. I do think it's going to be like a reckoning if we decide not to use them. I feel like I'm going to feel bad. Like I'm going to feel like I'm doing the wrong thing if we don't use them. What do you think about that?
I think you're wrong. I think
it conflicts with what I've just said.
Yeah.
Which is that embryos don't have the same value.
I think
But I can't help but feel it.
Yeah. Well, let's say you have this first child and you find that you and your wife are just happy with one and you don't want another one. In fact, let's say your wife even has complications with the birthing or something, and the doctor says, you probably could have another child, but I wouldn't recommend it. Yeah. And that combined with other things, you're totally happy and content with one. I don't see anything wrong with throwing those 2 embryos down the sink.
Especially considering if we do it because we feel like we have to. You could say we're devaluing the life of the one we chose to have because we're taking on more than we want or more than we can handle. Then we're basically saying, I'm not going to prioritize the living child. I'm going to prioritize what hasn't even come to life yet because I feel like I have to.
Yeah, let's say I know you just got your PhD, but let's say you don't find a well-paying job, or you find
that's the current issue.
Now,
is transitioning is tough right now. So
no, but let's say because of your moral inklings, you have 3 over the next 4 or 5 years, and that puts financial stress on your marriage. And I think financial stress is one of the main contributors to divorce.
Yep.
So by keeping 1 child, you might have a wonderful family. You live within your means. By having 3, you put huge stress on, maybe even risk the health of your wife. And for what? Just because Yahweh might frown upon you?
Yeah. Yeah. It's so hard to like the logical side of my brain and the emotional side of my brain. So like I'm sure you can tell, like I was brought up in a Christian family, right? I had very different beliefs when I was younger. Now I am a scientist, and so I believe different things about the world, but I still believe God exists and I still believe in God. I just have a very different belief set. But yeah, I mean, so I've got that side of me that's like raised by fundamentally kind of parents. They weren't fundies, but they had fundamentalist beliefs, definitely. So that part of my brain is still holding on to me. And I don't know if it's sort of like time, as time goes on, it'll just keep, withering away. And then I'll just be like, I'm my own person. I have these beliefs, and I'm not going to I'm not going to judge myself for my own beliefs using like a previous version of myself. But yeah, it's like, it feels like I've got 2 halves to me where I'm like, obviously you're right. Obviously, why would I make a decision just because of some moral reasoning and make my life worse and my own child's life potentially worse because of it?
And I'm not saying that will happen. Like you might have 3 kids,
right.
Yeah, and everything will go well. But
or we could try the others and they could miscarry and it wouldn't even matter.
But I do think that, hang on, Satan's in the corner there. He just told me that if you do have the 2nd and 3rd, they will stumble upon my YouTube video someday and deconvert.
I just saw you say that to somebody. Yeah, right. And then all I've done is I've given birth to somebody I've created somebody that's just going straight to hell.
Do you believe in hell?
So this is not anymore. I used to. It's funny, when I first started dating my wife, our first argument was on a little road trip we took, and she explained to me how she didn't believe in hell, and I got so mad at her. And the thing she said that made me second guess myself, it was, why would you punish someone eternally for something they did in a finite amount of time? So if I sinned 100 times, no matter how bad the sin, I'll go to purgatory, let's say, and then I stop existing after that.
But you know the answer the Christians give, right? Because you're sinning against an infinite God.
Mm-hmm, yeah. Even the worst, even everyone jumps straight to Hitler or whatever. But even the worst murderous person, let's say you live one lifetime in hell for every person you kill. Okay, he lived 6 million lifetimes, whatever, X million lifetimes based on how many people he was responsible for the death of. But then he's paid his penance and he ceases to exist, I guess you could say. But no, it's like every single person that doesn't do this specific thing, believe in God or ask God for forgiveness, get the same punishment. So you're in the same bucket as these horrible people, even though you lived your life the best you could. Generally, you made mistakes. It's too bad. You get the same exact punishment as everybody else.
Yeah.
So that definitely like busted my brain. That was a long time ago. It was like 7 years ago.
So has this experience of IVF weakened your faith, you would say?
All of my conflicts with faith and belief in God are entirely connected to the church failing me. The church not being what I hoped it would be.
Mm-hmm.
The community of people not being what I hoped it would be. It doesn't change how I actually see God in my head or in my like heart or whatever. It's more just like, I was raised in an environment that is like morphed into, it's like an abusive relationship almost. It's like you thought that they loved you for so long, and then you realize that they don't, and then you realize that they're even worse than that. They actually have it out for you, and they want to hurt you. So it's like it's more just like I've watched the church, quote unquote. I'm not saying my church. I actually love my church. My church is awesome, but I've watched the church as a whole, especially with like Trump and like politics and recent politics at least, it's just turned into a very toxic.
Well, you said you cried when you saw my video. What did you?
Yeah.
What did you cry about?
Feeling accepted.
So it's interesting that the church community you felt rejected, and with this atheist guy you felt accepted.
Because my biggest problem is that I seek acceptance. I said that earlier. So it is a big weakness, but I do think at the end of the day, I need some form of acceptance in my life. I can't just be invincible to all rejection. I have to at some point go, these people don't want the best for me. They just want to hurt my feelings and tell me that I'm bad. This person seems to like me, or at least seems to say you're not a piece of garbage. So I'm going to go with that person, or at least I'm going to accept that idea into my head. So, I mean, I still would say I have to work on, like personally, not seeking acceptance, but I don't think I should let people beat me up for decisions I've made that are not objectively bad. Like
if you were a robot and didn't have this problem of seeking acceptance, so imagine you're just completely objective. Mm-hmm. Do you think I'm right about this issue? That it's okay to throw embryos down a sink?
I think you're like 99% right. The 1% is me going, well, no, I think that you're right, given all of the pretext. Like, let's say you don't want another kid, right? I feel like if for example, my wife really wanted a kid, and I was kind of in the middle of the road, or I was against it, and we ended up in a conflict, and I was selfish about it, and I was like, no, we're not doing it. Then I think that is a bad decision, possibly. But I can't predict how we're both going to feel. So that's just marriage, right? You have plans in your head, but then you have a spouse who has different plans, and hardest part of marriage is finding out where that lands, where that decision lands. So if I really want more kids, she doesn't. How much do I care about myself versus her to make that decision? So I think you're right in terms of like the reasoning though. Like, yeah, throw them out if you don't want them. If you both don't want them and you're in agreement that you're fine with it, throw them out. I think that robot wise, you're right.
How did you afford IVF, may I ask? You don't have to, like, did you?
So yeah, I mean, this is the whole thing is fascinating. So I have insurance through my school, and it's funny how it all like kind of came to a head because it was really good insurance. We went through all the tests, found out that IVF was like, we're perfect candidates for IVF. We didn't even do IUI. My situation with my sperm count was like the perfect number where it was like, it's too low for IUI, but it's just high enough for IVF. So just go straight to IVF. And I think you mentioned that you did IUI and you're like, skip all that. Don't even do IUI.
Yeah.
And I'm like glad that I didn't because the success rates are pretty low. But yeah, so we ended up paying maybe $3,000-$4,000 total for the whole thing because of the amazing coverage. But it's ending because I graduated. So it was a weird timing thing where we're like, should we do this? I'm graduating soon and we have health insurance right now. And so we went for it.
What's the current cost if you had to pay cash? You know?
So it depends. I can't, it'd be hard to calculate, but all I will say is that looking at the bills that I've gotten in the mail, just the retrieval and transfer alone were in the range of 20,000.
Yeah.
Just to retrieve the eggs and then to do the procedures to get them down to the blastocysts and everything, and then to transfer one, it was like 20K. But that doesn't count all the stim medication,
yeah,
the other medication, doctor visits, copays, all that. It would have probably been like 40K.
I think I paid 40 to 50,000 per kid, with like.
Oh wow!
That includes
so that's way more.
But my wife had fibroids, and so it had to be a C-section. So that includes the C-section. I was self-employed, and so I had to pay basically cash for everything. But like, imagine the world today if everybody on planet Earth had to pay $50,000 of their own hard-earned money to have a child.
We would cease to exist as a species. Probably.
Well, no, we wouldn't cease to we wouldn't cease to exist. But basically, I really do think the problems we have in society would not exist. There would be no poverty.
Yeah, and I heard you just saying this, I think, to the previous person. If you have somebody you don't want, I think it's a lot more likely they're going to have a crappy life. I do agree with that.
Yep.
That doesn't mean they don't deserve to exist or whatever, but it does mean that, like, you know, from a data perspective, if the black box is, you know, the parenting process, and what goes into the black box is an embryo, and what comes out is an adult. If that black box is poor parenting and you know, abandonment and things like that, what comes out is probably a less happy, less, you know, I don't want to be judgmental, because it's obviously, it's a distribution. Lots of great people come out of horrible upbringings, and lots of bad people come out of great upbringings. But yeah, I think if you were to collect all that data, the distribution would be definitely worse for parents that just didn't care.
You're a fascinating guy to me, because I think you're intelligent. You have your PhD. You're a Christian, and I don't get people like you on my show very often. I get mostly wacko, crazy people. For some reason, they're attracted to me, but and I don't want. There's nothing inside me who wants you to deconvert or anything. But I have to ask this: Do you believe 2,000 years ago a man rose from the dead?
My hesitation is telling you that I don't completely believe it. So I can't say yes 100%. But I do.
Can you put your mic a little closer? I kind of lost you a little bit. There you go.
I said my hesitation to answer is giving you an answer. I don't completely believe it necessarily, but it is very hard for me to just say it absolutely didn't happen. So I would say agnostic on it.
So what would you say, like, if I were to ask you what makes you a Christian, what would you say?
What makes me a Christian is I absolutely believe that I have a soul. And I absolutely believe that I will exist after I die in some way. Now, I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's like, have you ever seen the movie Stay?
No, I don't think so.
It's I don't want to. I'm going to spoil it for you. It stars, I think, Ewan McGregor. It's about a guy who dies in a car accident, and the entire movie happens in his head while he's dying, and his time is stretching out, and it's like basically time dilation, and that's what his heaven is. It's basically, as you're dying, time gets slower and slower and slower and slower and slower, and basically all you got left is whatever was in your head when you died.
Okay, so this idea of consciousness, the soul, and an afterlife is why you're a Christian?
Mm-hmm. It's not why, it's that I believe it. And I believe that it is, I believe it's that there is some form of afterlife. The only reason I brought up like the movie and everything, I'm saying, I don't know if it's like, if my soul is something that's like not physical and it exits my body after I die in some way, or if it's actually like a biochemical process in your brain.
Let's say we do have intangible souls and there is an afterlife. Christianity could still be false, right?
Say that again. Let's say we do have souls and there is an afterlife. Christianity could be false. I would say it's like universalism. So it could be the case that Buddhists and Muslims and Christians are all kind of trying to describe the same phenomenon, and we're all getting it wrong in different ways. And we all do transcend reality after we die. It's just that the truth was slightly different than we all thought. You know?
Okay, so you could see yourself becoming a Muslim or a Hindu if it just worked out in your life practically, because it all kind of leads to the same.
I can relate basically to anyone that believes that life continues after death in some way, and that they're seeking that truth in whatever way they are. I can't sit here and go, Muslims are completely wrong. Catholics are Catholics, which is like we could talk about. I don't know. The whole Catholic versus like Protestant thing. Catholics are completely wrong, and Buddhists are completely wrong. I can't. I've never really believed that in my adult life. So I guess you could call me a theist, but or a deist. Not a theist, a deist.
Like, you're a scientist. You're more of a scientist than me. I just have 2 master's degrees, but
only.
But
what are they in?
Analytical chemistry.
Ooh,
and
that's worth a PhD. A master's in analytical is.
But what I'm getting at is, like, you and I, we like the whole idea of testing things and falsifying things to know that when we're wrong. This whole idea of an afterlife, how would we test whether we're wrong or not?
Hard to test something when you're the sample.
Yeah.
The sample size is 1, and the test isn't even over yet. So it's pretty crappy data, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why have an active belief on something like that when there's no way to falsify it, no way to test it? Actually, I do think there's some ways we could test it. So,
okay.
So here's a proposal. Let's say 100 years from now, we have the technology to kill people at will and bring them back to life after a full week. And we say, hey, if the soul is intangible and you exist after you're dead, independent of the brain, in some local area or areas, here's a random number generator. We kill 100 people or 1,000 people, bring them back to life after a week, and it's just 3 digits you have to memorize. And then if 1,000 people come back and say, yeah, I saw 346, I saw 549. I tell you, I would do a double take. I'd say, you know what? I think consciousness is immaterial.
Well, I mean, so the Bible talks about, especially if you go and look at like the non-canonical scriptures, how demons were chained to the earth, and then they escaped their bodies. And so the concept people relate it to is like what's it called? When you like have an out of body experience.
NDEs.
And is ND? What does it stand for?
Near death experiences.
NDEs, yeah, something. So I've heard of people describing they had an NDE, so they were in a hospital, their heart stopped beating, and then they exited their body for a moment. They observed the environment, and they have an accurate recollection of the environment. Now, of course, the recollection is around them. So what could have really just been happening is that their ears are still on.
Yeah.
And they were.
And I've looked into some of those, and like the data on that is so terrible. Like, how do we know they saw this, and is it documented? Like, I'm talking about tested conditions where that in a big sample size, different biases in the room. That would, I think, convince me, but we're not even close to that.
If someday we figure out how to shut down a brain and kill somebody without destroying their brain.
No, I'm saying destroy the brain, basically.
Destroy the brain? How would
I mean brain dead for a full week, but their consciousness is still alive. If there is a soul and an afterlife, then it should be doable, I would expect, for people to see things without eyes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's another way to think about it, at least from my own perspective, is like if you ever look up, if you ever hear about frequentism versus Bayesian thinking. So it's about the likelihood of an event happening is for somebody who's a frequentist, they're thinking about probabilities. It's like flip a coin, 50% heads, 50% tails. The Bayesian is somebody that thinks about distributions.
Right.
So instead of thinking it's either this or that, I'm thinking about the most likely outcome, but that most likely outcome is within a distribution of other outcomes. So for me, it's like my belief in God is like a Bayesian belief in God.
So where are you on that curve?
I'm on the true side of the tail. I'm thinking it's likely to exist, but I could understand a reality where it's just a story in our heads and it isn't true. So I'm not flipping a coin and going, it lands on heads. I know it's going to land on heads. I know, like, it's more. I flipped a coin 100 times and 65 times it landed heads, so I'm pretty sure it's heads.
Let's presume that it is a story. Why do you think we evolved with this story? Because most people on the planet are theists, right, of some sort.
Right.
Let's assume theism is false. Why do you think we still have it then?
So right, if we have these various essential, like, if it's not true, it's essentially folklore. I think it's because we cannot. I almost think that it would be that it was just an evolutionary mechanism to stay alive.
Yep.
Because thinking about death and coming to terms with the fact that you're going to die is so difficult that it's harmful to your existence. So the best way to block it, it's almost like a neurotransmitter sort of thing, where it's like I'm blocking a neurotransmitter with a belief. So the process of thinking about I'm going to die someday, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? It's like, oh no, we're not thinking about that, because everything will be okay when you die. You're going to be fine, right? So you don't need to worry about it.
I think you nailed it.
That to me makes a lot of sense, and it's a possibility. I'm willing to accept it's a possibility.
Yeah.
But I'm also willing to accept that whatever this folklore is true. But I do know for a fact that we all have it wrong. If it's true, we're going to be very surprised when we come out the other end. That, oh my God, the whole Bible was mistranslated. What were we thinking? why did we choose these books? They weren't even like written by like it would be. It's I don't know. There's going to be books that shouldn't have gone in there, or God's going to be like, what were you doing with the Bible? What was that all about? You thought that was the manual? No, that was just a bunch of random people. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's for sure. It's going to be mind-blowing.
Well, I wish you all the best with your other 2 embryos and what you decide to do with it. But in case, I know you don't have insurance anymore, at least right now. If you need extra money for those 2 other embryos to implant them, I host a poker night on Wednesdays and Sundays, and you can earn some extra cash there.
I've actually recently been playing poker. That's so funny to bring that up. We went to the Bahamas to celebrate my graduation, and I never gamble, but I just tried gambling a couple times.
No, I'm serious. I host a Wednesday night poker night. So, in fact, today's Wednesday, right?
What's the buy-in?
The buy-in is $20 for the tournament, and anywhere from $20 to $50 on the cash game afterwards. Email me. Actually, here, go to the chat. And it's great fun, especially when you win.
Right.
You see it there?
I do.
Okay.
How do I come?
Email me, and if you're interested, I'll put you on the list. You have to register with a site called Poker Now, but we can see each other, hear each other.
I'm assuming you're in America. What time is it at?
I'm in the West Coast time zone right now.
What time is it for you?
It's 12:24 right now.
What time is it?
It's at 5.
5 p.m. So that makes it. I'm in the East. Is it 3 hours back?
8.
I always forget.
It's 8.
It'll be 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think I will send you an email.
Okay. Well,
cool.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you for the first time, Nick, and all the best to you. If I don't see you again, take care.
All right. See ya.
Someone said this is my 1000th video. I don't think that's right. I think this is my 999th video. Can someone double check Social Blade? Yeah, this is 999, isn't it? It actually says 998, but it doesn't count the most recent one. Or where are you guys getting that this is my 1000th video from? It's easier to just send Doug a super chat. Hey, I don't win all the time. Okay, who's next? Which Dan is this? Hey, Dan.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
I think I called in like 5 months ago. It's been a while. Yeah. So I'm getting playback. Hold on. I need to close the other tab. Yep.
There you go.
There we go. So regarding the abortion issue, I think there's something that gets massively overlooked that is just a gaping hole in the entire Christian narrative, and that is the grim reality of miscarriage and stillbirths. And if you look at the statistics, like the amount of just natural abortions that occur is like, I believe it's 1 in 4 pregnancies, something to that effect. And
but what does this have to, like, if you're trying to argue or debate a Christian, an evangelical, for example, or a conservative Catholic, they'll say God is the taker of and giver of life. So everything you say about miscarriages is irrelevant.
Well, the point is that that the system that we live in is such that a massive amount of innocent babies, fetuses, will die, regardless of what humans do. Meaning, whoever set up this system does not care at all about these unborn babies. Therefore, the issue of abortion, why would so much emphasis, so much energy be placed in arguing about something that it's clear based on the design of our universe isn't even important to this?
Well, God has morally sufficient reasons to have miscarriages. That's what they're going to say.
Right, but it doesn't make it a good answer, right? It's sort of just kicking the can down the road. And it's just kind of shocking to me after thinking about it for a little bit that I never see this brought up when it's like, I mean, well, you can bring up other things like how in the Bible, God aborts babies who, because the wife of the husband in question was unfaithful. But you don't even need to go that far. You can just look at the natural world and compare that to the claims of Christianity, and it kind of all falls apart from there.
Yeah. I'd never take that route because I know what they're going to say. I had it off the pass. I just grant the Christian or the Muslim or whoever, whatever they want, and say, yeah, I'm killing a baby, but it's not that bad. And then you bring up questions, the very uncomfortable questions like, would you rather have this person, let's say, who pays lots in taxes, is a great giver of charities and productive member of society? Would you rather have, and let's say it has 3 kids of their own, is in the, let's say, mid-40s. Would you rather have them dead or an embryo? Force them to decide they had to kill one. Which one are you going to kill?
Yeah,
and
I really like your, sorry to interrupt, your thought experiment of the burning building with saving the 100 embryos versus the single toddler.
Well, it's not my thought experiment. That's been around for ages. But yeah, it is a good one.
Yeah, because it really hammers the point home. I mean, for the record, I think I'm like you. I don't think abortion is a good thing. It's a very ugly thing. But
yeah,
lesser of two evils, right? And especially in extreme cases like rape or incest or things like that.
Like, I guarantee you, the guy who shot up, was it 7 people killed, 20, 30 people injured at that July 4th parade?
Oh, I can't even keep up with the shootings.
I
have heard of that. Yeah,
I can almost guarantee you that was an unwanted baby.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
50% of babies are non-planned, so he's at least in that 50%.
I'm just curious. Do you know where that number comes from? It wouldn't shock me. It's just
yeah, I think I got it from the official Google website.
Yeah, it's like not, especially if you take into account. I mean, I assume a lot of the bulk of that comes from poorer areas or in poor countries as well, where there's less education regarding, just general sex ed. Yeah, but yeah, that's basically the miscarriage issue is just one that jumps out to me. But though I understand why it might not be immediately compelling to everyone, but I think it's absolutely worth a mention.
Okay, thanks, Dan.
Yeah, have a good one, Doug.
See ya.
Thanks.
Chris, I told you not to call in before. I'll give you 60 seconds, but get right to the point. Talk fast.
Basically,
there you go.
Miscarriage. Absolutely worth a mention.
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
You're on, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Sorry, I'm just gonna mute the stuff.
Chris,
I'm giving you 60 seconds.
Call in before. I'll give you 60 seconds, but
Chris, this is amateur hour. You gotta have this off before you come on, and you just watch the regular.
Okay.
Whereby.
Anyway, one of my point is that about the families with children with disabilities.
Okay.
And how this is actually one of the statistics that kind of gets left out with abortions and stuff like that. So,
okay, what's your point?
It's just the time and energy and economics with it. So, yeah.
I still don't understand your point.
It's just that it requires a lot of money and time and effort to raise disabilities.
So do you think if we knew with let's say 99% confidence that a child to be born with severe disabilities, that it's okay to abort then?
It's not that I'm actually advocating for it. It's just that basically a lot of people just don't think about it, because essentially it's a roulette type of deal, which basically it's that boom, you have a child that needs more TLC, and that basically is just that you didn't ask for it. They didn't. Well, the child themselves didn't ask for it. And how much energy are you willing to put in?
Exactly right. Yeah, like between my wife and I, we have 6 higher education degrees. We have 2 wonderful kids. Like temperamentally, like they're great. I'd say way easier than the average, and it's still a lot of work to raise kids.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is why I think you have problems in society, is because you have people who are, let's say, less educated. They have less options because they have less money, and they have kids on the curve that require more attention, and they're working 2 jobs and whatever, and they just say, I can't do this, I give up, and they just let their kids do what they want. And then you see the problems you see.
Yeah, pretty much.
But anyhow, thanks, Chris, for keeping it short. I appreciate it. Rami. Oh, sorry. I thought I pressed the button. There you go. You're on, Rami. Hi.
Hi.
What did you want to talk about, Rami?
Hi. Hi, PineCreek. This is my first time. You remember you called with Joshua? The Orthodox Jew? Yes?
Yeah, I remember talking to him, yeah.
Yeah, so I would want to present you his argument, but actually I'm still Orthodox Jew, but I'm not believing anymore. But I wanted to try with you this argument, and if you can, try SC with me, so I can see how you deal with it, because I have.
Okay. So you want me to do street epistemology with you? You're not a practicing Jew anymore, but you want to play the role of one, right?
Yeah, because I'm still living with a lot of Orthodox Jew, and I want to know. I want to have a good discussion with them.
Okay, so first of all, with street epistemology, what's really important is that the person comes out with a claim. So what's your claim, Rami?
Yeah, so my claim is that the Torah is coming from God.
Okay, there's the claim. The claim is the Torah is from God. And so as a good street epistemologist, I would ask, oh, okay. How did you arrive at that conclusion, that claim? Why do you think the Torah is from God?
It's because I heard it from my father, that heard it from his father, and until the giving until the time when
Raymond, just to let you know, we're going to do this. Street epistemology is usually very slow and boring, so I'm going to speed this up on purpose. But so you believe the Torah is written or has something to do with God or from God, and I asked you, well, why do you believe this? You said, well, because it was passed down from your father. So my question to you is, can a false religion having nothing to do with God be passed down from generation to generation?
Yes, probably.
Okay, how did you figure out that Judaism is not one of them?
Because it's not just my father; it's also the whole Jewish people fathers, and we can lie to one generation, but we cannot lie to many people in one generation, and make them feel, make them.
Okay, hang on, Rami. If we had a religion that predates Judaism and still exists today, and if I asked that person of that religion, why do you think this has anything to do with God? And they say because it's not just one generation; it's been passed down for many, many generations. Does that mean that their religion is true?
Not exactly, because we have a special thing, because we saw God. Everybody saw God. The other religion is only about 1%
okay.
that
have
seen God.
So that whole generational thing we can put on the shelf because that's not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
But what you're saying now, you believe that the Torah has something to do with God because everybody saw Yahweh?
Yeah, and they passed this to generation, to every generation.
Okay, well, why do you believe that everybody saw Yahweh?
Because they say so.
What says so?
Because every Jewish people, at least those who are still Orthodox, this means a lot of hundred thousand of people, say that their father and their father.
So if thousands and thousands of people said they saw Elvis, does that mean they saw Elvis?
Does that mean they saw Elvis?
After he died?
Yeah. Good question. Let me think. Probably yes.
If thousands and thousands of people saw Elvis, say they saw Elvis after he died walking around, then that means Elvis actually walked around?
How do we know that they saw Elvis?
So how would we test this? How would we test whether or not these thousands of people actually saw Yahweh?
How do we test it?
Yeah.
How do we test it? Yes, I know. Yeah, I remember a call with a rabbi. Yeah, because they accept a lot of commandments right after. So if they didn't saw Yahweh, they didn't saw Yahweh, so they wouldn't keep those commandments, accept those really heavy commandments.
Now, those commandments you're saying came from God, Yahweh?
Yes.
Okay, how do you know those commandments came from Yahweh?
Because they say so. And they say that they saw Yahweh, they give them commandment, and if it wasn't true, they wouldn't accept those commandments.
Because it says so, and because if it wasn't true, they wouldn't follow the commandments? Is that what you said?
Yes. Yes.
Do you think there's false religions out there of people claiming God gave them commandments and they follow it?
They keep the commandment because someone succeed to charm them. But here we cannot say that Moses or someone else success to charm them and to make them believe that they saw God. They can be charmed, but not can be tricked to.
So people
say,
who follow, so it's not merely following the commandments. That's the good reason why you believe. It's that they couldn't be duped. They couldn't be fooled about this. They couldn't be charmed.
Yeah, it's a combined stuff, that they saw Yahweh, and also I shouldn't say Yahweh, because if I we Jewish, we don't have, you know this, maybe we don't have the we can't say Yahweh at all, even in the prayer.
So
I actually
let's assume,
okay,
just for fun, that that a creator God has nothing to do with the Torah and has nothing to do with the Old Testament at all. Let's just assume that's true for now.
Yeah.
How would you explain that thousands of people claim, or that some people claim that thousands of people saw Yahweh and that Yahweh gave them commandments and that they followed? How would we explain all that? Assuming it's false. You're saying it can't be.
It can't be. No.
Okay, let's assume that a guy named Joseph Smith. Are you familiar with Mormonism?
Yes.
Okay, so let's assume a guy named Joseph Smith says that God came to him through an angel and also through directly, and gave him commandments. And thousands of people ended up believing it and following those commandments. And even many people saw some evidence of those commandments on golden plates, signed their name to it. Let's assume Mormonism is false. How would you explain that?
So wait a minute. Is only Joseph Smith that saw God, or also his disciple?
Joseph Smith is
only Joseph Smith.
Yeah, he's the founder of Mormonism.
Yeah. Okay, so he can fake his evidence. It's pretty easy.
He can fake, but he said God told him commandments.
Okay, so he says, so he lied. He can lie.
Okay.
Or he can be delusion.
Okay, why didn't you?
But he's only one person.
Why didn't you say that when I asked that same question, but applied it to Yahweh? Why didn't you say those people lied or were deceptive?
Because so many people's lies is really hard to believe. One, a small group of people can be, but so much people that lie and they say to their children. But
a small group of people can lie or be mistaken. Yes.
Yes, small group. Yes.
Okay. Well,
probably.
So let's say Judaism is false. How small of a group do you think started Judaism? Like, couldn't one say that a small group started to having ideas from the religions around them, and then started massaging them and molding them and changing them a little bit, and then Judaism was born?
Yeah, probably.
Probably, yes. We're done.
Yes. yeah, but wait a minute. Okay, so
we're done.
I'm not believing, so it's too easy with me. So I'm trying to thinking as an
no.
Orthodox,
Remy, I don't want to go any longer with this, but you get the idea.
Okay, no problem.
You get the idea where I'm. So what you just do with your friend is you keep pounding religions that they deem false and get them to answer the questions with those religions, and then just have them apply it to their own.
Mm-hmm.
And they will push back like you were. But when they go home and they are on their pillow and they're thinking, replaying the conversation in their head, there might be some doubt that creeps in, saying, well, yeah, maybe I am kind of special pleading here. And so anyhow, Take care, Rami.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
We're not on day 90 yet, Nathan. I think we're a week away or something. So maybe, when are you back if you're still here? Nathan's talking about our ab challenge thing. I plan to just keep going with my diet even after we're done the challenge. In Canada, is abortion legal up to 9 months? I don't know, John. I doubt it. Most Western nations, abortion is illegal after 12 weeks. I think that's true. So the people who say abortion's always wrong, or always okay to do, those people are in the minority. I have better abs than Doug, says Cheesehead. Are you going to get how killing babies is incivility? It's incivility not to kill some babies. Andrew, that's just science. Do you think it was civil that if it's true that guy who killed 7 people at the holiday parade, July 4th parade, and injured 30-some, if I'm right that he was an unwanted baby and his mother didn't want him, would you rather that him be alive or dead, Andrew? Answer that question. Would you rather have him alive today and do what he did last week or 2 days ago? Or would you rather he be aborted? I dare you to answer that question, Andrew. Let's see if you're man enough. You want him alive. You rather see 7 people killed in a parade and 30 people injured. Because God saw it happen before it did. It happened, right, Andrew? Andrew, you got to think about your scriptures. Because God foresaw the evil those Canaanite children would unleash if they were brought up, he smit them. He killed them. He nipped the problem in the bud. Why aren't you willing to do what God did? And maybe God does want the abortion. How do you know he doesn't, Andrew? How do you know God doesn't want some people to kill other people in the womb? Riddle me that. That's just something that's outside my God's nature, Doug. Oh, really? Really? You better not believe in the flood story then. Doug, did you say you had a family member that was incapacitated? Yeah, my sister, but she's dead now. She died a couple years back. She had MS. And I was all for her dying years earlier. She was suffering to her last day. Yes, God gets to decide, says Andrew. Yes, God gets to decide. So how do you know God didn't decide for morally sufficient reasons and command abortion doctors and women who wanted abortion to get an abortion? You can't say abortion's wrong unless you know for sure that God didn't sanction it. You know what I'm saying is right. You know what I'm saying is true. Hey, Danny. I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Is that better?
There you go. Yeah, now I can hear you.
Okay. So, I've been scouring the internet for like apologist open mics. You know, like I like talking to a Christian apologist. But what I'm noticing is that there's a whole, of course, there's a dedicated set of apologists that are just responding to Islam, and they don't want to talk to atheists. And so I've been trying to insert myself into that conversation, and they hate. And the way I do it is I basically say stuff like, y'all worship the same God and stuff like that. But are you familiar with that side of YouTube? Like all these like anti-Muslim Christian apologetic.
Oh yeah,
apologists?
a lot of the support Apostate Prophet gets are from Christians, and David Wood, of course.
Yeah, I don't know. How have you like interacted with them? Because they're so disinterested in talking to people like me. I don't know if you've had any luck with talking to those type of apologists.
They're disinterested. Well, they're disinterested in talking to atheists at all. But on this topic specifically,
oh, you're talking about the abortion topic?
No. About the Islam topic.
Well, you could do it that way because I think that Christianity has more nonsense, believe it or not. They have to deal with incarnation. They have to deal with the Trinity. At least Islam doesn't cripple themselves with those doctrines. So occasionally, I will defend Muslims. And I think that's just enough grounds to say, what does it even mean to say God is a human being? But I don't know if you've ever done stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I have. I've been on Hamza's Den, and then some other channel. What was it called? EF Dawa or something? But yeah, they don't like me now. We had a very civil conversation. They tend to do what most Calvinists do. They go straight to philosophy. Like they'll go.
Really, I feel like that's actually YouTube is one thing, but I feel like the average Christian versus the average Muslim. I think if you want to reach an average Muslim, it's going to be a little bit different approach. I think they care way more about the history and the hermeneutics and the hadiths, that the philosophy stuff, presenting logical problems of evil and stuff like that. They're just far. Is that your experience of that far less respect?
Well, I don't think I've talked. Well, I guess average Muslims have come on my channel. Yeah, but they realize that they can't defend it. Muhammad riding on a beast into the heavens, or the moon splitting in two, or that Gabriel did talk to Muhammad in a cave. They don't want to go there because then they look just as foolish as the Christians who say Jesus walked on water and rose from the dead.
Yeah, I was talking to some Muslims a couple days ago in Clubhouse, which is another platform, and they asked me why I didn't believe. I started giving a problem of evil, and they're like, "Oh, no, you're using the Christian conception of God. Our conception's not susceptible to that." And after literally about 3 hours of conversation, I said at the end, y'all gave me the exact same responses Christians give, and they kicked me out. They do not. They hate being compared to Christians. They hate it. I don't like, and it's vice versa, right? Christians hate being compared to Muslims in these apologetic circles, and there's a lot of animosity.
I made a video a while back of Hamza talking about Muhammad and saying verbatim something. Muhammad was either a liar, or he was crazy, or he was the true prophet of God. And you hear Christians say that all the time about Jesus.
Yeah, they were giving me, God allowed for evil for some greater good, and I'm like, that's exactly what the Christians tell me. Why are you saying you have a different conception? You give the exact same theodicies and responses.
Yeah. So,
but no, I've been. Yeah.
The best way to deconvert Muslims is to let them sound like Christians, to show them that they sound exactly like a Christian, and they become so disgusted that, and vice versa. If you show Christians that they sound just like Muslims, they're so disgusted. But Christians and Muslims both, you do sound alike, at least in some claims and some issues you guys bring up.
Yeah, I was. David Wood, did he take down? He tore down his channel or something.
Yeah, yesterday. Right? Was it yesterday? No, July 4th he did.
Yeah, and he is endorsing all these other little apologists, one of which I think it's called Reasoned Answers or Reason. I forgot. He's the guy that offered to buy his channel. I went on his channel a couple days ago, and I gave this argument for why the Trinity really screws them up, because they want to say the Son, the Son, Holy Spirit, Father are all God, which means that what makes God can't be anything specific to each of the persons. Does that make sense? You can't define God. Your conception of God can't be born in Bethlehem, because then it would be false that the Father was born in Bethlehem. So they have to take this narrow conception of God, basically the Omni God, and then that just matches the Islamic God almost. And so I was trying to give this argument, and they just hated that. I really think they crippled themselves with the Trinity and Incarnation. I can't help them.
I think the best way to describe the Trinity is multiple personality disorder.
Yeah, that gets into a deep conversation about what's going on there with the Trinity. But are you saying that you think it could make sense? Is that
I'm saying it could make sense, but but Christians don't like to hear that because I'm using the word disorder. But if you had a being that really has made up of three persons. We got people on Earth today like that.
Yeah, but what unifies them, I guess, is like, so let's say
one brain.
Do you think that okay, so they each share a brain, but they are not that. Each of them are not that brain, right?
Right.
That's so then they're committed to something like partialism, or I mean, I don't think it can work. I'm wondering how you're seeing that it works. Like, do you think it's the multiple personality disorder is analogous to the Craig's example of the dog, the Cerberus? Do you think that those are analogous? Maybe it's an easier example. The three-headed dog that guards Hades. What's his name? Cerberus.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that.
Oh well, in Greek mythology, the guard entrance, the guard for Hades is this huge dog with 3 heads. Have you never seen Hercules?
Years ago.
Okay. Well, it's what Craig wants to say. It's like three in one dog, but 3 heads. Like, he's used that example before, and I don't know.
Oh no, that would be bad because because you got 3 brains.
Okay, I see. Okay, I think. Okay, well, I'll leave it at that. I think it gets. I don't know if the breaking helps.
The multiple personality disorder, like you can have, like if you watch the movie Split, is it called Split?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Like even the personalities don't know everything about the other personalities, just like Jesus didn't know the time and the hour of his return. And so you can kind of make it work.
Yeah, but I think what's going, like in Split, the way I see that is there are multiple persons sharing a body, but they are not that body.
Right.
So I think they want to say, they're like making this statement that they are that body, which that's where I'm like, okay, I get it if they're sharing like a body or some kind of thing, they're using the same thing to convey their.
But you're talking about like the dualism, substance dual, whatever thing that really doesn't apply to God because he doesn't have a body.
Well, that's the Catholic. Well, the Catholic view is that there are 3 persons in one substance.
But it's not a tangible substance.
Well, it's going to be like an immaterial substance, but it's the same problem, right? I mean, call substance immaterial, material, whatever you want. The thing is that what does it mean to say that there are 3 persons in one substance? I understand it in that movie that you gave, Split. The idea is that substance is a way of conveying your intentions and your personality, but that's not what's going on. That's not what they want to say. I really think that Trinity is incoherent. I will die on that hill, but I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Well, I agree it's a mess, but I can understand how some people make sense of the mess.
I think you're going to have to be heretical or irrational, either one. I don't think there's anything in between.
Yeah, like the whole thing about and the thing is, the scriptures don't make it easy on them. It makes it worse. Like if they didn't have scripture, it might be easier to defend the Trinity. But then you got Jesus.
Right.
You have Jesus claiming he uses language like "I'm going to my God."
Yeah, I feel sorry for them because they have to deal with those scriptures. That's why they have to accept all this gibberish, right? It's not even their fault. Like, if you're trying to make sense of the text, what do you do, right? Like, you have to come up with something like the Trinity, all that nonsense. But I don't know.
Yeah, the Trinity. The early Christians developed the idea of the Trinity because they had to make sense of atonement. They had to have this perfect sacrifice, and how do you get a perfect sacrifice? It has to be God Himself. And so they had to say that Jesus was not just a perfect man, but a perfect God. So God had to die.
Yeah. Well, I gotta go. I got something in a few minutes.
Okay.
So thanks for having me on.
Yep.
Yes,
Take care. And if you really think about it, God dying, what the heck does that mean? What does it mean to say a God, one person, the Trinity, died on the cross? Really, you have to be forced to say that only his flesh died, which then brings the awkward realization that you Christians, I'm pointing at you, see my finger? You Christians believe that your sins were atoned for through the death and resurrection of meat, of flesh, because Jesus' soul didn't die. Jesus' soul did not die. Oh, Nathan, you are here. It was codified in 450, fully man, fully God. It was in the 600. Yeah, see how many decades later? because they were starting to think about the problem of atonement. You can't say just a man died for our sins. It has to be God died for your sins. But how can God be born of a woman? Whoa, well, he's a second person of the Trinity, or the third, or whatever order you want to put it in. You see how humans come up with these stories, and they realize the plot hole in their own stories, and so they have to fix their stories and come up with ideas like the Trinity. And then Muslims came around and said, well, this doesn't make sense for the reasons Danny's bringing up. And so they kind of got rid of that. And let's go back to the way the Jews thought of God. But then let's change some other things because we want to conquer land just like the Jews did. Always boils down to real estate, right? Lots of theology actually says God died. It's a big part of, yeah, but God dying is God's flesh dying, right? Or are there some sects of Christianity who say that God, that for 3 days or 36 hours, that the Trinity became a deity? Are there Christians who say that? I don't think so. If in order to say that God really died, you have to say that the Trinity died for 36 hours and became a deity. And I don't hear many Christians willing to claim that. Franklin, stop imitating me. Stay an atheist. That's something I'd say. Stay a Christian. Romans 8, 2-5 is interesting in this regard. There's just so many plot holes. This is because Christ, the law of the Spirit that brings life, made you free. It made you free from the law. Blah, blah, blah. But God did what the law could not do. He sent his own son to earth with the same human life that everyone else uses for sin. God sent him to be an offering to pay for sin. So God used a human life to destroy sin. He did this so we could be right just as law said we must be. Yeah, see, this is a terrible translation, like most are. But what does his son mean? Is his son him? Like, did Paul actually believe that Jesus is Yahweh? Some Christians say yes, some Christians say no. Actually, most Christians say yes. Today. That was the easy to read translation. God not being able to die is how we are saved. So, Andrew, you don't believe Jesus died on the cross? Of course you do. But you would just say his flesh died, right? But here's the question. Could salvation occur without the bodily death of Jesus? And I think you would answer no. The body had to die. But now think about this. Sin, the conscious action against the Creator, the willful, mindful action against the Creator, sin, is atoned for through the death and resurrection of amino acids, carbohydrates, and lipids. What I said just now, according to you, Andrew, is true. But don't you feel dirty inside when you think of it that way? His human nature died. Did Jesus have human nature? Isn't human nature to sin? You're a Calvinist, Andrew. I'm just plucking out problems in your worldview here. If you say Jesus had 100% human nature, then you have to say, because all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, you have to say, no, but Jesus is special. He's human, but he didn't have the nature of humans, of everybody else. You see what I'm saying, Andrew? Do you see the plot hole you're bringing up here? You can't say Jesus is human nature because the nature of humans is a sinful nature, especially if you're a Calvinist. So you have to say he's one of a kind human nature. Oh, you're not a Calvinist. Why did I think you're a Calvinist? Because you're a precept, aren't you? Are you one of the few precepts who's not Calvinist? Andrew, you're welcome to come on. Didn't I talk? No, I haven't talked to you before. Face to face. You like to talk a lot with your fingers, typing. Or have I talked to you? I don't remember anymore. Maybe I have seen you. Hang in there, Jesus. Blasphemy. If Jesus was virgin birth, he doesn't inherit sin according to some. Yeah, he's special. He doesn't. Andrew doesn't believe this, I guess, but many Christians would say that if you are born perfect, you don't have a human nature. Your words could be powerful and convincing, but they're just sound waves, no meaning at all. I guess I can stay a Christian now. Well, my sound waves are a cause to your effect. You're just like a dog, Franklin, and I'm bringing out treats, and you're starting to salivate. That's all I'm doing here is I'm ringing bells. In 1,000 shows, how many people do you think you've talked to? How many different, unique people? I'm going to guess 700. Oh, Eric wants in. I wonder if this is Eric Hernandez. Wouldn't that be cool if this is Eric Hernandez? No, it's not Eric Hernandez.
Hi, Doug. What's up?
I remember you.
Yeah, I've been on a couple times. It was a while ago, though. I was calling because I got, not recently. Do you remember when I had my friend call in Sebastian? He was like on his way back from a funeral.
Oh, was he the weird guy?
I don't know. He was like in a suit in his car.
Oh, no. I remember now. Yeah. No, he was a cool guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really cool guy. And one thing with him was at first I was like trying to deconvert him for fun. And then now I've changed and I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do that. But I'm trying to figure out, like, do you intentionally like not try to press people's faith if you think they should keep it for like to be able to live with themselves?
I'm a very practical guy, so most of the time I don't press certain people on their faith because I realize it's a useless endeavor and it's never going to amount to anything. So why waste energy? Unless it's entertaining and you can both have fun out of it. But there are some cases where, yeah, I think people could harm themselves. Is he one of them, you think?
I don't know. I don't think he would harm himself. I just don't know if he would be like as happy if he wasn't a Christian. Because I think he uses religion a lot to like feel good.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like if I were in his position, I would want someone to make me question my faith. Like when I was a Christian, I was very like, I don't know, I was a very strong Christian. And I used that to deal with like sadness and when people died.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still want someone to have tried to deconvert me.
Would you think you're happier now than when you were a Christian?
I think so.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I grew up, I think I used my faith to get happiness, but at the same time, it was like, I don't think it was worth it. I was in one of those schools where they have like speaking in tongues and stuff, and I think it was like a little bit emotionally damaging, but I'm glad I left the faith. So.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I do think some people, like my impressions, your impressions, their impressions, they think, okay, if I leave Christianity, I'll become unhappy. And a lot of times that's not true. But I do think it is like I see a lot of atheists out there who are just miserable. Like they're just always angry.
Yeah, it's a true stereotype.
Yeah.
I think a lot of atheists are just atheists because they hate religion, and then there's some atheists who like became atheists after like thinking about the religion. And they realized that there were like contradictions and whatever in it. Because I definitely think there's good and bad ways to become an atheist, just like there's good and bad ways.
Yeah.
To become
If you really want to bother Christians, let's say you're the type of atheist out there who just wants to get under the skin of a Christian or a Muslim, don't bring up contradictions in the Bible. The worst thing you can do to a Christian is show them that you're content, peaceful, and happy, and that you have no need for their religion, and you can go throughout life without any belief in God whatsoever and be peaceful, content, happy. Oh, that bothers Christians because they go, no, you need Jesus.
I don't think that has an effect on like liberal Christians though. Like,
You're right.
They really care.
Yeah, liberal Christians don't care.
Or Catholics, they don't care either. I think that only has an impact on like
Protestants. Christians like Catholics like Trent Horn, who I talked about when I first started my live stream. Yeah, I think he's a conservative Christian. He cares.
Yeah. I don't think most Catholics are like him though. At least I don't.
Yeah, I think conservative Catholics are a minority. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember at one point I was listening to you talk, and you said if heaven existed, you wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah.
I think you should want to go to heaven if it exists.
Well, it depends what it is. Like if heaven's a place where I can opt out if I want to, then sure. If heaven's a place where I can have goals to overcome and that every day is more interesting than the day before, then sure. But that's not the heaven described at least by a lot of Christians. Like if I can't win at poker and cause other people to cry, why do I want to be in heaven?
That's true. Yeah, there's a lot of fun things that we get to enjoy on earth that just like couldn't exist in heaven because there's suffering.
Like, and the scriptures say, at least the New Testament says, there'll be no more tears, no more sorrow. I mean, you can't watch a good Bambi movie and cry in heaven, like.
Yeah, come on, it's no fun.
Like, let's see that deer get shot and cry. Come on.
Also, I want to know what your thoughts on antinatalism are. I've heard you say it's like stupid.
No, I don't think I said it's stupid. I totally understand it, but I think we're pre-programmed to reproduce.
Do you think you can use your intellect to overcome that?
Sure, and I think like there's a distribution curve of people's desire for reproduction, and some people might say, honestly, Doug, I have no desire for kids, honestly, and that could be true for them. But I'd say most people have a naturalistic inclination to, in a sense, live forever, but not in the heaven and hell sense, but in the sense of having kids. Hey. You look like an athlete. Are you an athlete?
Not a competitive one.
Okay, but there's going to come a time when you're going to be my age, and you're going to say all the things that I used to be able to do and love, I can't do anymore because I'm old. But if you have a kid, a little boy with big bushy blonde hair, you're going to say, oh, you're just like me when I was your age. I would do this and this. I'd eat all the cheesecake I wanted, never get fat, and I used to play volleyball and whatever. And so we see ourselves in our offspring.
I guess so. Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I didn't have any other questions.
Okay.
I just wanted to hop on. Say hi.
Okay. Hey, and Eric, if you do play poker, email me.
Okay. I'll send you an email.
Take care. Thanks for the donation. Best in show. 75% of aborted fetuses and fetal death at conception are naturally occurring by Yahweh. That's millions of abortions each. Best in show. I thank you for a donation, but you can't say that to a theist because abortion. When God does it, they don't call it abortion. They call it justice or free will of Yahweh. How long have I been going? 2 hours. But I'm peaking in views, right? That's always a good time to stop when you're peaking in views. But Andrew, did you want to come on or no? I think we'd have a great conversation. I know you like me, Andrew. Don't say you don't like me. I make you smile once in a while, right? Tried getting on, got to get back to work. You didn't try to get on. I didn't see you here. What was your name when you tried? I see Jay wants on right now. But I'd rather talk to you. Yeah, happy birthday to whoever had a birthday today. Where's Kenny? He was here. Yeah, Kenny and I, we teamed up together to destroy those progressive Christians the other day. Man, it's amazing to me how many Christians don't know their scriptures, or they try to massage it to make it fit to what they want to believe. Give me that old-time religion, I say. Kenny got it right. Kenny's mom learned him real good. Come on, Andrew. You know you like me. What's not to like? Let's have a real conversation. Okay, here comes Andy. I should call him Andrew. He might not like being called Andy. That'll be the first thing I'll ask him. Is it okay if I call you Andy? But let's have a real conversation. Heart to heart, man to man. None of this trying to argue. Let's just be real. I don't see you yet, Andrew, Mr. Selby. You have something to show me. There he is. Good job. Can I call you Andy? Uh-oh. I don't hear you, Andrew. I don't see you. Don't hear you. I see blackness. And I'm not talking about Jay Bundy. Are you laughing, Jay? Thanks, me. You can't hear anything. Go to the gear box top rightish. Then refresh after making your settings right. You guys have to excuse Andrew. He's a Christian. And Christians don't, they're not of this world, so they don't know how to deal with the internet. We're just waiting for Andrew, the true Christian, to figure things out. Lord, we pray in the name of Jesus that Andrew will find the spirit of technology. He'll find that gearbox box on the top right. Lord, we pray that he will know how to set his mic and know how to set his video in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus, we pray that Andrew will know how to refresh his screen using the Google Chrome on the top left with the little arrow that goes around. We pray that the demons of non-technology be gone. Can you hear me now, Andrew? I can't hear you. My goodness. Islam and Christianity are substantialists. That's opposed to the fundamental teaching of Buddhism. There's a lot of atheists who are Buddhists, right? But what's in it for me? Why should I be a Buddhist? Still can't hear or see you, Andrew. Actually, I forgot to talk about this. Randall Rouser's having a fun time critiquing all these evangelical Christians, saying that he's not a true Christian or that he's the enemy or it's not the true gospel he believes in. Randall, here's some advice. Accept it. Accept the fact that people view you as a heretic, as not a true Christian, as a progressive who's not teaching the true gospel. Just accept it. Okay, Andrew, I don't know what to tell you. It seems to work for everybody else. I'm not saying anything other than everybody else, I think, who's come on today has been able to hear and see me and talk. I don't know. Oh, people are using phones too. You can tell, when they got the small screen. Jay, I know you're going to show me some funny thing. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in humor. I'm a serious guy. I'm like Randall here. Look at that face. No, I'm not interested in your revelation. I'm interested in Andrew getting his mic and video working. Andrew, if you are near a computer, a real computer, a desktop, actually, most smartphones have more processing power. Hey, we'll see. We'll try one more time. Hey, maybe? Andrew? No. Still not working, Andrew. Still can't hear you. Can you hear and see me? Yeah, Dharma Defender. I wouldn't mind talking to you about Buddhism. Shut up, YouTube punk. I'm not cranky. Just shut up. Okay, Andrew, well, we tried. The Lord has seen fit not to bring us together. We shall not be one flesh today. Your mic says it's picking you up. That is weird. Yeah, another time. We'll try another time. It's really sad, though, in a way, Andrew, because I know how much you love and respect me, and yet we can't make this work. So are you coming in, my Buddhist friend, Dharma Defender? Well, yeah, you're already married, right, Andrew? Yeah, I won't. What the Lord has brought together, let no man asunder. Is abortion about the body autonomy after all? Yes and no. I do think there comes a time within the 9 months where the rights and the value is in competition to the mother. And if you guys missed it, Trent Horn brought up a good point that we as a society have laws demanding that men pay for babies. And then he's posing the question, why can't society demand that women care for the baby till term? If the husband has to care for the baby from, let's say, K to birth to age 18, why can't we at least ask the woman to care for the baby for 9 months? It's a reasonable point. So if a woman wants full bodily autonomy and not be told what to do no matter what stage in the pregnancy, then don't tell the men that they have to support it to be consistent, because it's their money, their time. Why don't they get a say in that? Men can release their parental rights. Yeah, but I think some laws say that they have to, right? Support. The man's health isn't at risk, PineCreek. Well, I tell you, some kids cause heart attacks in men, especially when they reach the teenage years. Like, seriously, do having children, do we take into consideration the health of the father? The stress? The financial stress? The boys knocking on the door saying, is your daughter home stress? He can sign away his parental rights and not pay. Is that true in every state? And at what point, like, can he has to do that before the child's born, right? I honestly don't know the laws on that. Care in the financial resources and care and sense of using your body to gestate and deliver is not the same thing. Apples and oranges. Come on now, PineCreek. Well, this is why I say we should go to robots. I'm a responsibility guy. If you really don't want kids, then men get vasectomies, women get hysterectomies. Or definitely have at least 2 forms of birth control. And if you're not doing that, assume every time you have intercourse that a baby could come and deal with the consequences. If you're in a state that says you can't have an abortion, be prepared to spend your own money and pay your own way to get an abortion in a different state. Don't come to me and ask, hey, taxpayer, you need to pay for this. If you do come to me and say, taxpayer, pay for my abortion or transportation or whatever. No, I'm not saying women do this. Actually, some women do think abortion should be through insurance and taxpayer funded, but those are probably the minority. Hey, Douglas, when will you accept the Messiah as your king? Arabian Princess, I've answered your question many times. I will accept it when you pray, when you come on and pray in the name of Jesus to light up my water-soaked napkin. See, another thing I have a problem with is expecting employers to pay for, what is it, like 6 weeks time off after having a baby? Why is it the employer's responsibility to take care of your life and help you? I'm just like, as a self-employed guy, I've never understood that there's this expectation that the employer, number one, has to pay for your health care. Number two, that your employer has to give you time off. If you don't like it, you quit and you find a different employer. Now, in a market where labor is tight, then you can get away with that stuff. But in a market where it's not, you can't. This is where a lot of these issues will boil down to whether you lean left or right on like the socialism versus capitalism. In the UK, we get a whole year of paid maternity leave. Yeah, but who pays it? The taxpayer or the employer? And what did the people deserve to get that? Like if it's employer, then yeah, the employer can do whatever they want, I guess. But if it's taxpayer funded, why should a person pay for another person's time off to raise a family? Riddle me that. Because it's nice, Doug. It's a nice thing to do. Hey, Lucy. I can see you. And now I can hear you.
Hey, I'm driving. How's it going?
Good. Don't get an accident because of me.
Oh no, I have you on Bluetooth.
Okay.
You were. What's up with Rousel? What's his name? Russell Rouser? You were saying something about him?
Yeah, Randall Rouser. He's a progressive type Christian, and he's sad that the evangelicals say that he's not following the true Christianity.
So he posted something. Oh, anyways, it's hard because I called a while back ago and I told you I don't believe, but I'm still in church and community.
And I'm losing you, Lucy. Lucy, if you can hear me, I can't hear you. Are you against both public and employer-based healthcare? I leaned against it, yeah. But I think both, if you're going to have it, you should have both. I mean, when you say employer, I mean private. So there should be both public and private healthcare. And then let people choose. You have higher responsibility when it's privatized. So, for example, if someone chooses to smoke and drink, should the public then be forced to
Can you
pay.
hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Where what I lost you. What happened? What were we talking about?
You said you're not a Christian, but you're still hanging out with them.
Oh yeah, I'm still going to church. Well, what happens is that oh yeah, it's hard because I come from a Pentecostal background, holiness movement background. So no matter what you do, you're always a sinner. And so you're just never a good Christian enough. If you do anything relatively normal, like go to a movie or hang out or anything, it's just never. You're never going to be a good Christian. Anyways, but you were talking about abortion. I so
You okay?
Yes, I'm just trying to. Okay, so how? It's just hard for me when people are like, "Oh, abortions." When God literally killed all the Egyptian children. He commanded his people to kill. So if you say, "Hey, I'm having an abortion because God told me to," is that adequate? Like, can you say that?
Sure.
Can you do that?
That's basically the argument I gave is if you're talking to a Christian, you should say that. And then they'll say to you, no, God didn't say that to you. And you say, yes, he did. And he says, no, he didn't. Yes, he did. And then they'll say, prove that God said that to you. And you say, prove that he didn't. I mean, it just becomes hilarious.
Because I mean, if God told the Israelites to go slaughter a whole bunch of people, everyone, including men and women, I mean, what's to say that God couldn't do that now?
Exactly right.
You know, are you saying that God changes? That God isn't the same as he was yesterday? You know?
Yeah, God only speaks to the prophets and Moses and Aaron and Paul and Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Oh, no, I'm Pentecostal.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. So the Pentecostals do believe that God speaks through prophecy today. So yeah, well, I don't know what do you think your friends would say if you said that to them?
Oh no, I listen. I'm going to hell anyways. You know, I watch movies. But do you think that for me, I'm super like, okay, yeah, if you're not going to provide a good life for a kid, don't have one. If you're going to be messed up, don't have one. But do you think it would ever get to a point where if we start saying, hey, if you're not worthy of having a child, don't have one? Do you ever think it'll get to a point? Because that kid that shot up the parade, he was the son of a guy who was running for mayor, you know. So I don't think they were doing too bad in life. And so if having good parents can still equate to bad children, don't you think that there is still a flaw in our rationale in that aspect, in that area?
Oh no, you're exactly right. Just because you can be the perfect parents and still have a rotten kid. I agree with you.
But don't you? Because if we say, okay, you should support, right? Because you're a horrible person, or maybe you're not in a good place, but your kid might come out good. Don't you think? I mean, how do you defend that? How do you? What do you say to that?
No, I think a woman can choose. I'm pro-choice in that sense, but I do think society does have a say. If they're going to raise the child, if society's going to raise the child, then society should maybe have a say on whether that child should be aborted or whether it should be legal. Yeah.
Perfect. So if they're going to be like on the welfare system, if the government's going to help pay for daycare and food and all of that, okay.
See, this is why I lean against socialism, because I don't want the government saying, well, that's partially my child too. No, these are my kids. I paid for them, literally through IVF, $50,000 each. I teach them. So you have no say in how they're raised. Now, if you have a children in a poverty situation where the government pays for the food, shelter, and clothing, then they have the right to tell the parents where the child should be educated and what to do.
Yeah. Okay. Because my big concern, like I was watching a documentary yesterday on eugenics, right? And forced sterilization. And so I my first thought was like, it's not wrong. If you're poor, you shouldn't have kids, right? But then again, I don't know. It's you're taking away someone's rights, someone's
No, well,
right to have
is
a
it?
child. But then,
But where do rights like this? Where do rights come from? They come from society. Like if you're an atheist, you don't believe God gives rights, and even if God does give rights, it's up to humans to enforce them. So yeah, it's. I don't think it's a right in the Constitution to have kids. It's you have a right to your own life, but not the right to create more life. But now, but let me be clear. I'm not saying that eugenics should be law. I'm not saying that.
but then again, you're taking away people's choice, right? Like, don't you think people would at least have a choice? Hey, I want to get sterilized or not. I mean, because a lot of people were like, vaccines. No, I should have a choice to have it. Don't you think it's the same as being sterilized, forced by force?
Well, I'm all for. I mean, if people want to choose to be sterilized, that's fine with me. Okay. And if they choose not to, that's fine with me.
I think what changed my mind on abortions was definitely the Catholics with the IVF. Because I was always like, no, you need to have a child, this and that. But then I'm always feeling super, like the guy before, or the guy before, I don't know, he was talking about how he was happier, way happier not being a Christian, but some people need it and the harm that it caused. But for me, like, Christianity did a lot on me. Like, I feel horrible every time I did something, but abortion was huge. Like, it's horrible. Oh my gosh. No, like, God can definitely not forgive you from that sin. But then with the Catholics and IVF, it's like, oh my gosh, it's true. You're killing a child. You're killing a child. But how do you get over those thoughts? Or, I mean, what did you tell the guy?
The doctor? Have you had an abortion?
No, never. But I did. So I had coitus before marriage, and I felt like I was gonna die, right? So I felt like I was gonna, like, literally burn in hell. And I remember God speaking to me. Remember, I'm Pentecostal. God speaking to me, telling me that He was gonna kill my child because of my sin. And I completely ripped it off from with the story of David with Bathsheba, right? And so I was like, oh my gosh, that's why I'm not having children, because I've sinned against God. God has closed my womb, And finally, when I did get pregnant, I was always anxious. I was like, oh my gosh, my baby's gonna die, my baby's gonna die, my baby's gonna die. And every day was like anxiety. So I've never had an abortion, but I've always had that mindset of, God kills babies.
Oh, wow.
It's horrible, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So it's not that I felt bad about it, but I was like, well, this is what I deserve, and this is the justice of God,
Aren't you glad you don't believe this stuff anymore?
Oh my gosh, yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's such a relief. I know for some people it gives them life, meaning, and purpose, and it's great. But for me, it gave me more of anxiety than it gave me joy and hope. Like, it was like, oh gosh. But I don't know. It's still hard to get over that thought, because you say, well, if God kills them, it's okay. But if I kill them, like, I'm committing the sin,
Yeah. But I love to force Christians to say, like, okay, so what's so bad about killing a baby in a womb? And then have them say, well, it's a human life. And you say, so what? What's wrong? We kill humans all the time through war, through capital punishment. Why is killing a baby wrong? Well, they're innocent. Oh, who cares? Well, why is it so bad? Like, force them to, you push them in a corner where they basically come out and say what your Pentecostal friends say, because it makes Yahweh mad. And then you say, okay, what's so bad about making Yahweh mad? Well, He can hurt you. Oh, really? Can He hurt me right now, please?
I don't think that will go over very well with the Pentecostals.
Well, this is why the Pentecostals don't come and talk to me, because I will force them to answer these questions, and they will just be scared and think that I'm possessed by the devil and run.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm still, I haven't even brought it up. I think I haven't even brought it up because I know it's taboo. It's like, it's an unwritten, like, it's just like but I'm like, the Bible says it. The Bible says God killed children, so maybe it's His will. If God tells you that you need to get rid of that child, and like you said, they go to heaven automatically. So.
Yep.
Okay. Well, thank you, Doug. You're doing awesome. You're always awesome.
Thanks, Lucy. Take care.
Take care.
Yeah, her audio was cracking up pretty bad there. Hard to hear her. But yeah, Lucy, why do you still go to church? Somebody's asking. 50,000 for a kid seems a little steep to me. Yeah. No kidding. Oh, we got a lot of bleeding heart liberals in here. Are you pro-abortion in the case of rape? Yes. Personal responsibility for the choices of a woman does not enter the equation. Right. My state currently allows abortions for rape victims. That's bad. God in the Bible says he does not change. You're right, Kaiju. Kaiju? Do you think taxpayer money should go towards any health care? Cancer and an orphan with no family, something like that? Maybe. I don't know. I always tend to lean towards cutting out the middleman, but I do realize they got to be practical about these things. In other words, I do think organizations like like Ronald McDonald House, it's a private company that supports McDonald's Corp, that basically pays for cancer in kids and for the whole family, pays nothing. I think that's way better than the government doing it, because they always take a cut that's usually bigger and less efficient than the cut that private corporations take. But see, this is the whole thing. Like, I know my words right now are just causing some people anger, but I think what I'm saying is true, that the government tends not to be as efficient as private organizations, even the nonprofits. Otangelo.
Yes, hi.
Your audio sucks.
Is it better now?
No. Do I support public education? Here's a good question. Someone is asking me, do I support public education? I'd say yes, but if everybody could afford their own kids, there would be no need for public education. True or false, Otangelo?
Well, there are many parents making...
No, your audio's just so bad. I'll remove you and you can come back. LOL, I worked at a huge corporation. Doug is wrong. Oh, well, that seals it. Your experience at a huge corporation. I'm not saying corporations are 100% efficient and that governments are 0% inefficient. I'm just talking about the probability curves here. You should invite Francisca Stravopoulos on your show. She has just written a book about Yahweh. Yeah. For some reason, it doesn't make my dopamine rush. It doesn't make my dopamine go up. Last chance, Atangelo. See.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. So do you want to talk about abortion or capitalism?
No, I have another question for you, if you permit. Otherwise, we can
Oh,
talk about abortion.
you're using me as a guinea pig for your experiments. Okay, go ahead, shoot.
Well, okay, so you don't believe in the resurrection, right?
Correct.
And you are an atheist.
Correct.
So you need to believe that actually life came from non-life through
This is nothing new, Otangelo. We talked about this so many times. Why are we going through this?
Okay, so let's talk about abortion. Do you think that all Christians think that in any case abortion is wrong?
Whenever you say all Christians,
Yeah, because I mean, we had a case now where an 11-year-old girl was raped, and a judge prohibited her to abort the child.
Mm-hmm.
And I of course think this is a completely wrong decision from the judge, and then that judge was taken out from the case, and she had her abortion, and I think that was the right decision because she could have died.
So you're pro-abortion in the case of rape and health to the mother?
Absolutely. I mean, that girl was risking her life because she was very young.
But you do understand there's quite a few Christians who would say no.
Yes, and that judge, I suspect that she was a Christian. She is a Christian, and she tried to convince the girl to have the baby. And I think this is just crazy in that case.
What do you think Yahweh would say about that?
I think God is in favor for the abortion.
Whoa, are you guys hearing this? We're seeing a new side of Otangelo. I would never have guessed you would have gone there.
Yeah.
So you're a progressive liberal Christian now.
Well, in this regard, I think if the girl is risking her life, it's better that she has the abortion rather than to carry out the baby and eventually die.
Yeah, but don't you trust God that He has things in control, and that if the mother dies, she dies?
I think we need to use a good sense of reason in such cases.
Is there anything scripturally that you could point to a Christian and say, "Hey, this is why it's okay to have abortion here"?
I don't know. I don't think that the Bible is covering such situations.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because I don't know, were there active abortions 2,000 years ago? Like, did women stick things up there and try to kill babies?
Probably.
Yeah.
I think they had their ways. They knew how to do it with natural means or something like that.
Oops, I tripped and fell.
Yeah. I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, I want just to take off the prejudice that we are all radicals and crazy in regards of these issues. I think as a Christian we can take moderate stance, which are based on reasoning and being reasonable.
Okay, what about poverty? Is that a good enough reason to have an abortion?
No, I don't think so. I mean, a girl that doesn't have the financial means to raise the child, she can have it and then give it for adoption.
But let's say it's a war-torn country. Adoption is not really an option because it's just people are dying all around. This is not a huge priority. Like, wouldn't you say that? Like you said, you're for abortion for the health of the mother, but what about the health of the child? If it were born, it seems like all the children die within the first month or two anyhow, and a horrendous death. Maybe abort the baby before it has a neural network and can feel pain.
I think it has to be analyzed from case to case. In such case, you cannot make just a generalization.
Like when I see pregnant women in pictures in war-torn countries that are just poverty is rampant, I'm going, bad people. That they would, if they understand that sticking a penis into a vagina and ejaculating causes a pregnancy, like, why do that? if you know you're going to cause so much pain and suffering when that child's born.
I agree with you. I mean,
men should just
when I came here,
go.
When I came here to Brazil first time, and I stayed here in 1989, and I traveled in the entire country, and you can't imagine how many girls that I saw which were underage, 13, 14, and pregnant, without any condition financially to raise a child. And today it's a little bit better, but I think in certain regions, like in Africa, what you are saying is still very common.
So you're all for,
I think,
you're all for contraception, I'm assuming, right? You're not Catholic at all.
No, I'm not Catholic, and I think we should use prevention.
Would you, let's say I was a dictator of the world, and I came up with a law that said whenever a child's born, they have reversible contraception. They're sterilized, but it's reversible. And that in order to be unsterilized, they have to get married to a committed partner, and they have to show proof of income that they can actually pay for that child's food, shelter, and clothing without any government assistance. And until that point, they will remain sterile. Would you vote for me as that dictator?
No.
Why not?
Well, I think that, have you seen what happened in China, where they introduced the one-child policy, and what happened? And in special, because Chinese, they wanted to have boys and not girls, and when it was a girl, they killed the girl, and now they have an overpopulation of men which don't find women to marry. So there are
no, but how is that situation similar to mine? I'm basically saying you can have as many boys and girls as you want, but you have to, just like buying a house, you got to show proof of income. You have to put 20% down. You have to have a stable job. And for reproduction, I'm just saying you have to be in a stable relationship, show proof of income. And we as society, we govern laws for, who can drive cars and who can't. Why can't we as a society say who can get pregnant and who can't?
Well, that wouldn't guarantee anything, because you could have a stable income at the moment where you make the decision to have a baby, and the government will say, okay, but maybe in a year or two you will lose the job. So that isn't a guarantee whatsoever.
Oh yeah, there's no guarantees in life. I understand. But
and there is another thing. I don't think that the quality of raising the life quality of a child, it isn't just the financial situation of the parents which is a determinant.
Yeah.
Many different factors.
Yeah, okay. Good point, Otangelo. You're lobbying me as the dictator, saying not only do we take financial situation, but you have to go through a medical screening to show that you are not crazy, that you're stable emotionally and intellectually, that you have a basic understanding of the world around you. So basically, and that you're not an addict, you're not a drug addict. So I'm the dictator. I say you have to show proof of income. You have to show proof that you're medically stable, mental illness, and committed relationship. So you have help, and and then we'll reverse it. You're gonna vote for me now?
The guaranteeing the liberty rights of people is something which has a lot been fight for. And the Christian worldview has contributed to guarantee us these liberties. And we here in the West, we have these liberties, and they are very
right. No,
good
but
for us.
I know, but those are liberties. But in this thought experiment, I'm the dictator, and so I provide the liberties. And I'm asking you, what's the downside of my proposal here?
Well, I think that in a very general sense, having people above you which restrict your liberties is negative, even if on the surface it seems that it has a positive contribution or effect or something. But I think in the end, when you then see all the side consequences of such laws, then in the end you will see that it is very negative.
But we restrict liberties all the time. Like you have to be 16 to drive, you have to be 18 to vote, or 21 to drink.
You know,
what if I made the law simple and said
believe
you have to
that-
be 28 when your cerebral pre-cortex is developed? Then and only then do we reverse the sterilization. Age 28, you can have kids, and we'll remove the financial restrictions. How about then?
I mean, PineCreek. There are so many different issues here, and they have to be evaluated. And I mean, politics is in many cases just about that, to introduce new laws which have to be voted for and which have to be debated. So saying something so vague as you are doing here, I don't think that this is reasonable.
Well, and just to be clear, this is a thought experiment, and I would never say that a dictator or a government should force this on people. But I do think that the idea behind it would result practically in a better society.
Yeah, I very much doubt on that, though.
Really?
As I said, because I think many different things which you have not pointed out would have to be thought about.
Like what?
And put on the table about the. Well, I'm not necessarily thinking about something concretely now, but I think if you think about the proposal, then many issues might come up which will have a decisive influence in such decisions, which eventually could be then.
Like I would think a lot of the left-leaning liberals would love this because it would lower the population. And by lowering the population, you would lower the carbon footprint. You would help change global warming. The downsides I see to my proposal here, which is within the context of a thought experiment, before people freak out, is that you would have a labor shortage in the short run. But we have the technology now. We don't need people flipping burgers at McDonald's. We got robots to do that. So a lot of these jobs would be gone, but humans suck at working low-level jobs.
But you know, PineCreek, I am right now writing a book about the origin of life, and I am making.
Oh, that's why you're here.
No, and I am making an analogy in regards of how would be a society which would be super advanced, and where basically AI robots would do everything for us, and we would just entertain ourselves and go to the beach and have fun and do sport, and the robots, they would stay in constant communication with our mind and read all the time what we want and then provide it for us. And we would basically not need to work anymore because we would have constantly robots and AI things on our disposal, which would provide everything for us that we need.
It sounds like heaven you're describing.
I don't know if that will be the situation in heaven, you know.
See what I did there? But, see, you're saying that this is bad when these robots, the AI, are doing everything for us and we don't have to worry about anything, but you're describing heaven.
Well, I mean, if that would be possible for us to create a civilization with that kind of advanced technology, then I would love that actually not less, but more people could enjoy that kind of life where these robots do everything for us, and then we could just entertain ourselves and go after what we love to do.
Oh, yeah. Getting back to my thought experiment, I just thought of something else I could add. With this thought experiment, the people on the left, the woke people, are going to love this. I as a dictator, I'm going to get rid of, I'm only going to unsterilize people if they reproduce with people of opposite race. And so we get rid of the races. Everybody will look the same shade, basically same hair, same eye color, a little variation.
Black people,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So
people,
no more white privilege. I mean, because white doesn't exist anymore. It's all going to be beige. Everybody's going to be beige. And so now people are supporting it, right?
A little bit Chinese, a little bit black.
We're just going to stir the pot up.
That would be very boring, don't you think so?
Yeah.
I mean, I love diversity.
But the thing is, we can always promote blue hair dye. And so people can change the color of their hair with dyes. They can wear contacts, change the color. So we can always add accessories to people to make them look interesting. But there'd be no, oh, there's white privilege here, white privilege there. And there's no white. There's just basically people of the same shade.
Why not invent a skin where we can simply change colors like chameleons?
Oh, you mean like Michael Jackson?
No, instantly.
In his early years, he was black.
I want to be black, so I will change my color to black today. Tomorrow, I want to look like a Chinese, a finger click, and I look like a Chinese tomorrow.
Yeah. But all these woke people in the live stream chat, they don't know what to do now. Maybe Doug's onto something. Anyhow, Otangelo, thanks for coming on.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
As a biracial person, I'm all in. Yeah, my kids are biracial. Just you wait, guys. I'm going to start a cult. PineCreek, race isn't just skin color. Look at Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda. Yeah, well, that's the problem, right? Because race is a social convention? An idea? When does one race start and another one end? Who knows? Like, I remember I was trying to get people to define what white means in the phrase white privilege. And the people struggle with that. It's like defining woman, like what's his name, Matt Walsh does. Matt Walsh, if you ever hear this, that should be your next documentary. What is white? And I tell you, seriously, you ask people that question who are woke, they will struggle. Because they can't even just say, well, ancestry European. Well, really? All of Europe? And what does that really mean? The thing is, that thought experiment I went through, I bet you there's nobody who disagrees that it would lower crime and poverty from where it's currently at today. I'm not saying it would make it zero, but I think well, hang on, let's start a poll. And if you didn't hear my thought experiment, shame on you. My thought experiment. Would it lower crime/poverty? So the thought experiment is dictator decides who has kids. Everybody's sterilized at birth. In order to become unsterilized, you have to show proof of income, mental stability, financial stability, maybe even be above a certain age. And yeah, let's throw in, and you have to have children with someone of the opposing skin color. So my question is very clear. Don't think of the morality of it. Try as a critical thinker, say, I don't care if this is right or wrong. The question is, would it lower crime and poverty if a dictator basically did eugenics in this way? So you can even grant, if you disagree with the thought experiment, that it's horribly morally wrong. But that's not the question. Is it wrong or right? Would it serve its purpose of lowering crime and poverty? So if you think it would stay the same or go up, say no. If you think it would lower, say yes. My goodness, 39% say no? 42% say no. Are you guys on drugs? I'm glad still above 50% say yes. To me, this is a no-brainer. But we're not at 100 votes yet. But we're over 30. Dictatorships rarely lower poverty. Paul Schlechter, come on. Critical thinking. It has nothing to do with dictatorship, even though I just said that. A government could do it. A free society could do it if this was implemented. Would it lower crime and poverty? See, and I think the way you answer this, you have to really overcome your biases to answer this truthfully, I think. Because this is like, it's so hard to divorce, let's say, the morality of it from the practicality of it. But I'm asking you to do that. I'm asking you to divorce the morality from it to the practicality. Yeah, and I just fixed, there would be no critical race theory anymore if this came into law. There'd be nobody left to blame but yourself. I'm kidding. There's always going to be, if we all looked identical, there's still going to be some way, or he's a loud talker, he's a soft talker. We got loud talkers versus soft talkers. They'll find something to pit people against. Ray, see, you're basically saying, I refuse to engage in the hypothetical. When you say, can society overcome its biases to make this practical? You're basically saying this is an impossibility. This is impossible hypothetical. You're being like the Christians who say, well, this would never happen. I think someone can come on and tell me why I'm wrong, but I think this is such a no-brainer question that it really shows how much our intuitions of ickiness comes into play. Because it really seems icky, right? James asks, explain again how eugenics would solve reduce crime. I'm not saying how, James. I'm just asking people the question, if a dictator, if a society, if whatever decided that in order to have kids, you have to show proof of income, proof of mental stability, maybe even be above a certain age, like not a teenager, be in a committed relationship, i.e. marriage. And I threw in at the end there that it has to be, you have to procreate with someone of a opposite race or different skin shade or whatever you want to say. Do you think that will lower crime and poverty? So in other words, I'm saying that there's no accidental pregnancies anymore. There is no unplanned pregnancies ever again under this thought experiment. They're all gone, because in order to be unsterilized, you have to plan. So every pregnancy from that point forwards is by definition a planned one, where people have committed that this is the plan, we're going to put the plan into action, we have proof of income, we got the down payment, we're not nuts, we're not addicts, we're not crazy, we want this child, we care about this goal, and we're going to achieve it together as a couple. Boom. Would that lower crime and poverty from what we have today? And by the way, yeah, I think it's a given that this is not cheap. Amelia, come on with this. Basically, if everyone grew up like Doug. No, I was like, my dad almost went bankrupt in the 80s under, remember that inflation, actually late 70s. We were poor farmers at one point. So enough with his, well, everybody's look like you, Doug. They know. None of that complaining and whining. Engage with the thought experiment. If people were robots, then yes. It's funny because this is essentially what you have to do for adoption, PineCreek. Roy Lindsay gets it. You know how expensive adoption is? And how many things you have to, loopholes you have to go through? That's a great point. Maybe my thought experiment is a little tougher than adoption, but I'm just, yeah, I'm basically taking the adoption model, but backing it up to conception. Doug, you are offering the scenario in Ira Levin's dystopic novel, This Perfect Day. Yeah, and let me be clear. I'm not saying there's no downside to this model. There's definitely going to be downsides. But right now I'm just asking about crime and poverty. And I would love for someone to explain to me how crime and poverty would stay the same or maybe go up under this model. Because remember, there's no unwanted pregnancies here. Every child born was planned for meticulously to happen. There's no, I can't afford to, I have to work 3 jobs to pay for the kid. All that's gone. There's none of that. There's basically parents who are available for their kids whenever the kids need them. They're not at work, at least not all the time. Like, they're not working endlessly to make ends meet. That's gone. It's like when the child comes home from school, private school probably, because there's no need for public education at that point, and they've had a bad day, guess who's there to meet them? Their parents, or one of them at least. Say, how was your day, honey? Tell me about it. I mean, at least saying that that's possible, because there's a lot of kids who come home from school and both parents are gone. And they're sad, and they need someone to talk to, a parent to talk to. That's gone under this model. Or at least the high probability that the parent is there. I'm lobbying hard. The yes to no ratio is going up. We're only down to 36% bleeding hearts now. There'll be a new class of organized crime like baby mafia. Well, sure. But the thing is, we have white collar crime, we have blue collar crime, we have crimes of passion today. We have the whole gamut of different crimes, Jay. All I'm asking, you take that whole spectrum of different types of crimes. Like, you got to admit, stealing a loaf of bread, which some would argue should not be a crime at all, but that would not exist under this system. Probably, unless you're stealing a loaf of bread just as a gag, not because you really need it. Every child born is now born in a society, in a home where there is food on the table. That food is like 3% of their income instead of 30% for some people today. Yes, James, you get it. And you know what's interesting is this thought experiment is actually happening, not literally, but society is actually, if you look at pregnancy rates and teenagers, it's going down. Unmarried's going down. Basically, it's happening on its own. Interracial marriage is going up. So you don't need to legislate this. It's happening on its own. What if the parents die? So that's a good question, YouTube Punk. So you could have a system where if the parents die, you would just go to adoption, but it's the same process of adoption. Like you need basically with the way you have adoption today. Yes, Ray, that's one of the downsides. We have a lot of people aging with no families, but still in poverty. Yeah, the downside of this is it would take at least 3 generations to get through the really bad time of not enough people to support the old people. And what do you do with the people currently in poverty? Maybe only 2 generations. But if there's any time in history where humans could pull this off, I think it's now with technology. Because, like, seriously, we do not need kids to flip burgers. We don't need adults to flip burgers at McDonald's. We have robots that can do this. Like, it's sad that I can understand kids working at McDonald's to learn responsibility, learn how to show up to work on time, learn how to work with people a little bit. But when you see adults with kids working at McDonald's, something's wrong there. Unless you're I shouldn't be so harsh on employees at McDonald's. You can actually work your way up at McDonald's to be a manager of like 10 McDonald's in the whole region and make like $100,000 a year. True story. But I'm talking about the entry level type jobs. We don't need McDonald's, period. Well, you're probably right, Soren. How do you build their character then? Oh, there'll still be opportunities to build character. Wages haven't kept up with inflation and cost of living. True. But inflation hurts people who are middle income or less. Like, I track our grocery bills pretty accurately, and yeah, it's gone up 20% for us. But that 20% increase in our grocery bills doesn't make a dent. But for someone who makes, let's say, $30,000 a year, that makes a huge dent. So inflation hurts the poor the most. Thank you, Federal Reserve. Yeah, we'll still keep bullying in schools darkened to help build character. You will still have prejudices and bigotry and stuff. But my question is more about very specific things like poverty and crime. Yeah, we build character by forcing them to come on the PineCreek YouTube channel. Middle income or less, that's like nearly everyone here. Well, I don't know. Actually, yeah, you know what? That's a great poll, YouTube Punk. Okay, so the yeses win 65-35 after 100 votes or so. New poll. Now, this is anonymous, and I want you to answer, what is your yearly gross income? So what do we say? Over 200K. And I know some of you are in different countries, so this is going to be a little tough. I don't know if it will work, but most of you are Americans. let's say over 100K, over 50K, or under. So I'm very curious to know what income you guys make. Again, that's anonymous. Nobody will know it's you who's voting. And don't lie. Be honest. So 200, are these good levels? 200, 150, and under 50? Yeah, that's good. There we go. Yeah, I know. I could have gone net worth instead of income. But you're in the minority, Peter. Most people who are watching this channel are not retired. Oh, wow. This is so interesting. This is data mining gold. Again, vote honestly. Please. I know I can't control this, but Yahweh is watching and he doesn't like liars. If you make 30,000 a year and you say you make over 200,000 a year, you will go to hell. That's a promise. And not the good hell either. You won't like it. Hitchens is not at the good, I mean at the bad hell. So YouTube Punk, you said everyone here is below middle average income or less. According to this poll, you're wrong. Yeah, and understand that depending on what state you're in. Like if you make $200,000 a year in New York and LA, you're in poverty. How can I refine it? Wait a minute. I got 37% of you making over 6 figures a year and I get no super chats? Well, okay, I got 63% who are below middle class. I got 63% peasants in here. %64 peasants. Hey, you peasants, make sure you take off your shoes while you watch my show, okay? I don't want your dirty, stinky feet mocking up my floors. You keep your shoes on. And for the people who voted over 200K a year, there will be hors d'oeuvres and champagne after the live stream. And you'll get a private viewing with me. And for the people who voted over 200K a year, I have a friend who sells BMWs. I just take a 10% cut. But I can give a great referral to, if you're looking in the market for a BMW, a nice sporty red convertible, the 11%, the 11 of you who voted, actually I didn't vote, but I can't now. But for the 11% of you who voted over 200K, yeah, email me. I can set you up with a brand new BMW. And for you who voted less than 50,000, I can set you up. I know a guy, give you a really nice bicycle. Really nice bicycle. So I already know there's a 38% of you lean Republican and 63% of you lean Democrat. Actually, we'll do that poll next. I got to be careful of the phrasing. Yeah, if you do want a BMW, you got to let me know early so we can order it, because there's just so many people who make over 200K a year now that it's tough to keep the inventory up. Hey, Myron. Yeah, we need you to start stocking the shelves with breadcrumbs. We got 62% need some food. Yeah, free of charge. It's on me. Yeah, start make a keto bread, because we don't want to give those poor people carbs. No. Yeah, keto bread, and for YouTube punk guy, he probably needs some bacon. Yeah, he could put some meat on his bones. Yeah, but make sure you put that sterilization formula I made in the bacon, okay? Yeah, we don't want these poor people reproducing. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so we got over 100 votes, 111. 39% of you make six figures. I want to start a class war between amongst my YouTube viewers. So all you poor schmucks, start offending these rich, privileged white people, and all you rich, white, privileged people, start calling the poor people here peasants. And let's start a real friendly clash warfare. Okay, so this is going to be the new poll. The new poll is going to be how do I word this? I don't want to say do you vote Republican or vote Democrat? And then again, I got to be sensitive to the international viewers too. So, do you lean left or right? But I got to be more specific, because I just can't be binary like that. So how do I do this? So let's say 0 is far left and 100 equals far right. And then we'll do 0 to 20, 21 to 40, 41, 60. That's basically the moderates. And you can define this any way you want, what that left and right means. But left typically means like more, in political terms, Democrat. Right means more Republican, but left also means more socialistic. Right means more capitalistic, but doesn't always. You can do this in terms of freedom. Take all those factors and put them in a big pot, stir them up, and come up with a number. This is not scientific. This is just for fun. This is just to make... Oops. Hang on. I got to change that. End poll. This is just to help us mock each other. Zero equals far left. 100 equals far right. And of course, libertarians screw things up. Be honest again. Don't give me this. Oh, I'm a centrist, when really you're not. Own it. I did it again. I'm so mad. Oh, I know why I did it. It's not my fault. I'm not taking responsibility for this. It only allows me so and so many. Okay, be patient, guys. I will figure this out. it gives me a limited number. This is probably the most important poll too. No, Hillary emails. You got to take both the social, give yourself a social number and a fiscal number, any type of liberty number you want to put, combine them and average it out. I want overall with all the different issues in the world. Okay? Hear me? But I have to make it different. I have to go like in thirds. Let's see if thirds work or something close to that. Yeah, it only allows me 4. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, it's up, finally. Okay, I gotta vote. Confidential voting. Oh, I can't vote on my own poll? What? Why not? I can't. Oh well. Okay, so under 30, just for you left-winger people who might not understand the poll, under 30 means you're like a Bernie Sanders voter. You're very, very leftish. Above 70 is you're very rightish. You take your social issues like abortion or guns rights or whatever, you mix that in. You take your fiscal issues, you mix that in. You take all the role of government, you mix that in. You try to, in your head, get all those different factors and you come up with one number, you average it out, and then you click the appropriate box to express that level. Oh yeah, we got a lot of bleeding hearts in here. This is why you guys get so upset at me. I don't even know why you're here. I mean, like, how can you guys not hate me at this point? That's just testament of how good I am. When 30% people, like, I would say, honestly, I'm above 70. Maybe I'm 50. If I'm in the 50 to 70, I'm like closer to the high end of that range. But like, how good do I have to be as a YouTuber that you guys will still be here, given how hateable I am? Guys, you can keep this. You can keep this confidential. You don't have to say, "Hey, everyone, I'm the guy who voted under 30." No, I can do it because I'm the host and this is my poll. But you just keep it quiet. No virtue signaling here. We like your SC, not your politics. Well, I'd say at least a third like my politics, according to the poll. Come on, let's get over 100 votes. If you haven't voted yet, vote. It's easy. Oops, sorry. Love the YouTuber, hate the person. Oh, you cut me deep. Okay, now I'm going to when we get over 100 votes, I'm going to profile you guys. Just based on this, I can profile every single one of you. I don't even need to be a police officer and pull you over to profile you. I can just look at your hubcaps. Your hubcaps being how you voted here. Yeah, the only reason I have virtues is so you can signal them. Good point, Gurr. Love your name, Gurr. Okay, we're over 100. Okay. So if you're married and you're here, you are not in the below 30. Most of you. I'm going to talk like a absolute terms, but I don't mean it. This is for effect. There's no one who voted for under 30 who's married. There is no one who voted under 30 who has their own business. Now, when I say no one, I mean there could be one. Let's see. I got to pick on the people above 70. If you're greater than 70, there's no way that you have a W. Well, no, be careful. How can I pick on the above 70? I gotta be fair and balanced here. Yeah, if you voted above 70, there's no way you're single. If you voted above 70, odds are you do not live in the downtown area of a major city. In other words, you're most likely suburban or rural. How am I doing? If you voted up here under 30, you probably voted that you make under 50,000 a year on the previous poll. If you voted over 70 over here, you probably are the 11 people who make over 200,000 a year, 200,000 a year on the previous poll. If you voted between 50 and 70, odds are you have kids. If you voted below, down here, odds are you don't. How am I doing? If there's any exceptions, if I'm saying stuff and you hear I'm an exception, you can, if you want to, you can reveal yourself as an exception. I'd love to meet someone who makes 200,000 a year, married, has kids, and voted under 30. You are a unicorn. Help me, Nem. I can't think of anything else. You can help me. I live in the suburbs of Detroit. Oh, the suburbs of Detroit is like downtown Austin, Texas. I have hang on. Do we have an exception? I have 3 kids, wife, business. You are wrong. Oh, you're the unicorn, Robert Cummins? You voted under 30? Did you vote under 30, Robert Cummins? Yeah, college kids make a dent. Doug has lived in the U.S. Well, by the way, Amelia, I am talking about the U.S. mostly here because most of my audience is U.S. But basically, you can predict with a high level of confidence who someone will vote for based on whether they're married, have kids, own their own business. It's not a perfect science, but it's basically it. I am a 35 now under if SCOTUS decides wrong. Okay, so you're just into you're moderate, you're left moderate left, I'll call you. So I was kind of right, Robert. You're not below 30. Yeah, if you're above 70, you think that the Constitution was divinely inspired. Yeah. Oh, we should do IQ next? Yeah, but most of the people in here, vague, rant, they haven't been tested under tested conditions. How many people here has actually had an adjudicator, someone watching them as you take an IQ test? When I say IQ test, I'm including standardized tests. And when I say standardized test, I'm not talking about your chemistry exam in high school. I'm talking about like the GRE, the GMAT, GMAT, the MCAT, LSAT, just a plain out IQ test. How many people have done that? My guess is not very many in here. I could be wrong. Maybe I should do a poll. Okay, so we're going to end the poll here soon. We have 70% tree huggers here. 70% granola crunchers. 70% cry regularly in their rooms. Now it's 71%. 71% feel sorry for people a lot. There we go. I'm learning. Those no, the online IQ tests are not what I'm talking about. Those are fake. I'm not fake. They're not the same. But am I right? Is there anyone who voted over 70 who is single with no kids and is a blue collar worker? Like meaning has a boss, gets a W-2. Like identify yourself. You're also a unicorn. I know. Isn't that true, Gerb? Gerb, I got to tell you, I really appreciate your laughter during Bread of Life's live stream. I mean, as a comic, as a comedian like myself, you're a perfect guy to have in the crowd. Gerb laughs at all my jokes. What's wrong with incels? See, now, someone who voted under 30 is like flabbergasted. I asked what's wrong with incels, and then the people who voted over 70 are laughing. I bet you could correlate sense of humor to how you voted on that too. People who vote, I would make the claim that people who voted under 30 have less of a sense of humor than people who voted above 70. I'm just picking on you guys, right? I'm sorry. Where's my compassion? Yeah, that was an epic stream, Peter. I already did that, dude. I did that on a live stream months ago. I gave my 2 cents about IQ and neediness with apologists. But am I right? Like, can people who lean left admit this? That people who lean left, far left, I should say, not middle left, tend to have less of a sense of humor than people who lean right? Can I get an amen? That's the perception I have, but maybe my perception's wrong. How are we defining sense of humor here? Just basic number of laughs per day. I mean, if you were to count how many times you laugh, chuckle out loud, whatever, per day, and tally it up for people who lean far left versus far right, I'm going to claim that people in the far right laugh more. They're happier. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe not. Maybe they're the same at the extremes, but let's say, that middle chunk, 30 to 50 and versus 50 to 70. I'd say that the 50 to 70 laugh more and are generally happier than the 50 to 30. people over 70 tend to be pricks. Oh, B. Guzman, have some self-awareness. You know what you're saying. If you're saying people over 70 tend to be pricks, I think you're almost saying people under 30 are pricks too. Think about it. Oh, good to hear, Soothsayer. Actually, I think in my live stream, the people who do lean far left do have a good sense of humor because they're watching me. But I'm talking about the average. Fox News has no sense of humor. I seriously, I haven't watched Fox News for years. True story. I mean, it could be over 5 years. I sometimes go on foxnews.com, like maybe once every few months just to see what's going on. But Fox News was by far the smartest in terms of getting views. They know how to get views. You get pretty ladies with long legs. Like, I'll just say it. Like, the left-leaning news channels have ugly people on it. The right-leaning have good-looking people on it. I realize it's shallow, but it's truth. I don't know, but maybe have things changed at Fox News? Are they putting more ugly people on now? Who's my favorite? Not what. Who's my favorite comedian? Well, I like the really dry humor and witty humor. Norm Macdonald, Jim Jeffries, Ron White. They pop into my head quickly. David Spade. I like him. Who else? I think you get a flavor from that. Yeah, I think if I'm going to die, I'm going to go out like Norm Macdonald. I'm not going to tell a soul. Maybe I'll tell my wife. Yeah, I should tell my wife, right? But other than that, you guys will wake up one day and say, oh, Doug's dead. And then I tell you, those pine points, the value of those pine points are going to go through the roof the day I die. There's some of you who are sitting on your pine points just hoping I die. Shame on you, but I understand. Yeah, I like George Carlin. He, his cadence was amazing. I wasn't a huge Tim Allen fan. I did kind of like it when we went, Should we do one more poll before we close? What poll should we do? Okay, I got a poll for you. Here's my IQ question. So now, if you voted under 30, if you're leaning far left, you're angry at this poll. Angry. So I'm using reverse psychology here. You're going to say, no, Doug, I'm actually really, this is really funny what you just did, Doug. You're amazing, Doug. You're funny. Now you don't know what to think because you don't want me to get that gratification that I made you laugh, even though you lean far left, and yet you admitted you're stupid. I mean, what do you do with this? Do you just abstain from voting? But no, you want to participate. You want to be part of the group and part of the tribe. And so you feel compelled to vote right now. But you know, by voting, you make yourself look stupid. I mean, I've handcuffed you here. You know, an apologist is going to clip this, right? YouTuber PineCreek the other day made a poll asking how stupid is his viewers, and look at the results. 43% say they're very, very stupid. 24% say they're very stupid, and 32% say they're somewhat stupid. And they are atheists. Look at this, Christians. They're admitting the stupidity of their worldview. Only a fool says in their heart there is no God. And here is the proof. PineCreek, the PineCreek YouTube channel has graciously provided hard evidence, statistical evidence of the stupidity and the foolishness that is rampant among atheist channels. This has been CNN. If only stupid people watch PineCreek. What does that say? B.S. Lewis? Don't you use my polls against me. I mean, Myron, should I ban him? I know he's stupid, but he made a smart comment there. But I want to ban him. Doug, we all know your strong black wife runs the show. Yeah, she's the one sitting in the corner, right? Stupid is as stupid does. Oh, that's a great movie, Forrest Gump. It shows the richness of the American history combined with the flaws of the American history. I mean, that's a movie that whether you lean left or right, everybody can love. And Tom Hanks, I mean, I know Tom Hanks is a lefty commie, but I would vote for him as president. I mean, he should run for president because of, Apollo 13, very nationalistic. And he's survived. He's on that island by himself, like Tom Hanks for president. Who here wouldn't vote for Tom Hanks for president? Well, I'm not sure, but this could have been our 1,000th video. It's either 999 or 1,000. If you have not produced 1,000 videos on YouTube, do not dare call yourself a YouTube creator. You're an amateur. I'm calling you out, Apologia. I'm calling you out, genetically modified skeptic. I'm calling you out, inspiring philosophy. I'm calling out David Wood. I don't even think David Wood has actually, hang on. Does David Wood have 1,000 videos? Yes, I beat him. Oh, did I? No, that's the wrong channel. I don't know. He has a lot of videos too, but I think I beat him. So this is 1,000? Yeah. Anybody less than 1,000, amateur hour. You're perfectionists. You're trying to make your videos look good. with special graphics and special perfect audio. I mean, come on. It's quantity, not quality. Do I remember my first? Yeah, I think I do. I think my first one on YouTube, at least, was with Keith Giles years ago. It was either that one or one where I almost got sued by a pastor. But anyhow, I owe it all to you. 1,000 videos. You've been a wonderful audience, even though you're very, very stupid.